Waiting for you guys to join up as usual. We're going to be getting into Chapter 9 of RWBY Volume 4. Long overdue, definitely, I know that much. I know there's some of you guys already in the chat. Alright, we are good. It shows that I'm live on my end. You guys see me? Can you guys hear me? How's it going? Hey, what's up, Alex? Biocraft Hero. I almost called you Biofrost Hero. How's it going? Thanks for joining, Dom. Nicholas. Amber, hi, how's it going? Thank you for joining. All is well. How is the audio? I'm using my new microphone, so this is the first live stream discussion that I'm doing with the... I'm going to turn my phone off, too, just because I don't want that shit to be happening, where you guys hear the constant notifications. But yeah, how's the audio? How's everything? How's the quality? I think the audio should be a lot better because I don't have that little clip-on mic anymore. So, quality-wise, it should be a lot better. So that thumbnail, huh? Yeah, that's a really good thumbnail. I really liked it. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm just fixing something on my end. Everything's good? Nice. Alright. That is great to hear. So the audio quality is a lot better. The video quality will be getting better, hopefully. Well, by the time it gets better, Volume 4 will probably be over. But I'm currently working on saving up for that PC that I've ever, the infamous PC that I talk about so much. Saving up for that and RTX at the same time, so I'm penny pinching like a son of a bitch right now. So hopefully it comes sooner rather than later. The audio's pretty good, slight background buzz, and the audio's a tad off sync, but other than that it's great. Well, that doesn't sound very great. But yeah, this mic picks up everything. What you're probably hearing is my laptop. My laptop gives off like you can hear it in the background. I'm surprised it picks it up that much because it's actually a distance away. But yeah, quality is as best as I could muster right now for all the support that I've been getting. And will you upload your live stream? If this is your first time in the live, sorry, if this is your first time in the live stream, yes, my live stream discussions automatically upload to my channel after they're finished. So, so basically, you don't have to worry about, like, you can, if you can't stick around for the whole thing, you can come back and catch up on wherever you left off after it's uploaded. And I'm going to turn my phone off because I don't want any of that humming business. Alright. You don't hear a hum. Well, I know my laptop, like, this picks up a lot. It's fine. Alright. But yeah, how have you guys all been? It's been a while since I did the last live stream discussion, and I will explain that really briefly. So, last week, I think it was last Wednesday, I did my live stream discussion for Chapter 8. And I mentioned that a couple of days later I was going to do my live stream discussion for Chapter 9. That was the week that was leading into the World of Remnant that we got on the Great War, so there was no episode that week. What ended up happening, why this is coming out now, is because for the last week and a half, I've had a very, very awkward sleep schedule where, so I live on the East Coast, so I've been following, so like for the past week and a half, my schedule's good now, it's perfect now. So, but prior to like today and the last couple of days, I've been falling asleep like around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, like in the evening. 5:30, 6 o'clock I've been falling asleep, and I've been waking up around like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and that's been my schedule for the past week and a half. And essentially I haven't been able to do the live stream discussion because I'm always tired way before the preferable time for me to do it. So so that's mainly the reason why this is pushed back so far, because like tomorrow's Chapter 10. So we're getting Chapter 9 so late, but I mean literally that is the reason why. Excited for the next episode? Did you see the thumbnail for it yet? Yes, I have. I'm going to talk about that a bit towards the end of the stream. For those of you who don't know about it, or for some of you guys who want to remain spoiler free. So, Hey, what's up, Abraham? How's it going, dude? My schedule's screwed up too. Yeah, like I hate when that happens because that literally throws everything out of whack. Like it throws out of whack my record schedule. It throws a lot of things out of whack just because like I typically like to wake up like around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. By that time my roommate's already gone. I have the house to myself, so I can like utilize whatever I want or whatever I want to record or edit. I can do that. So for the most part, it was kind of like a hassle because that even threw streaming out of whack. Like I wasn't able to really stream that much either. And I recently got back to streaming. For those of you who don't know, I did a full stream of RWBY Grimm Eclipse on my Twitch channel. A lot of people showed support. I got a lot of viewers over there. I gave away some codes for PS4 and Xbox One for viewers who attended. And I played the game in its entirety. The game is really, really fun. Obviously, it has its setbacks. It has its moments where it could definitely improve. But it is Rooster Teeth's first game, so I'm not gonna have like these overwhelming AAA expectations for it, especially since it started off as a fan-made game. But I liked it. I enjoyed it for what it was worth, for the single-player experience, having people in the chat to play with me. And Horde mode's has been really fun. I've been leveling up my characters more than anything, just playing here and there. But that full stream, that full playthrough will be uploaded on my channel in the form of a Let's Play at some point next week for those of you who weren't able to make it. Oh, nice. Yeah, I think I did see your name, Mint Shade. Yeah, I liked Grimm Eclipse. It took me about 6.5 hours to beat it, but that was because I was interacting with the chat as well as I was doing giveaways. So after every level I would stop, I would give away a code, and then we would re-up for the next level. I'd pick a new character, etc., etc. So it was about 6 hours for the single player by myself on the lowest difficulty, which was normal difficulty. I didn't play on the 3 other higher difficulties. So I think it was hard mode, Grimm mode, and Eclipse mode. I'm not entirely... it was hard, very hard, and then Eclipse. But I played on the easiest difficulty by myself. So, yeah, the giveaways definitely was a huge chunk of time. So, especially when it came to rolling like winners, and then some winners being there, some winners not being there, having to re-roll and all that stuff. But yeah, that will be up on my channel as a full video. It'll probably be like 4.5 to 5 hours for anybody who wants to sit through all of that. But it was really fun. I really liked the game. The only character I didn't get to test out was Weiss, because there were 10 levels, but I ended up sticking with Pyrrha as the primary character. Honestly, she's like the best character in the game. She's super fleshed out. I love her combos. I love her fighting style and everything. She worked really well for me. She's my favorite character on top of that, so I felt like that was the big reason why I decided to stick with her. So Weiss was the only character that I didn't get to test out or try out to any degree. And as you play the game and progress further and further, it's best to stick with a small pool of characters because the game definitely gets harder and harder, and as you level up, you want to stick with a character who's tough, who can like make it through a lot of those hard fights. So yeah, enough about Grimm Eclipse. The game was great. Like I said, I will have the live stream up on my channel at some point next week. And I was working on this all day yesterday. The last 3 RTX vlogs will be coming out next week. One of them is over an hour long, and I was going to make that into 3 separate videos, but I didn't want to go over the top with crazy editing like an intro edit at the beginning, and I know a lot of people have been still waiting for those RTX vlogs. Trust me, going through 100 gigabytes of data on top of like everything else that I've been doing, like my live streams, my my discussions and stuff like that, it is a process. So it's so fucking good. Like, I didn't go over the top with a lot of like cool edits with music and stuff. That's usually like the first minute and a half is super hype, and then everything else is moment by moment. But I managed to show every single aspect. I managed to show a lot of the aspects of the RWBY panel, a lot of the people that I met there, like John Reisinger, Sam Ireland, Jen Brown, Barbara, Miles, Bernie. I showed off a lot of the Jeff Williams concert, which I think you guys really like. Little snippets here and there, not the whole freaking concert, because it's an hour-long video, and it's literally my entire RTX experience. It's literally as if you guys are there with me, as best as I can make it. So That will be coming next week. It's over an hour long. I'm still fine-tuning the last probably 10-15 minutes of it, but I was editing majority of it all day yesterday. And then I will also have I'll also have the clip of everybody that I met at RTX. I met over 200 people, so I'm putting that video together as well. And then I'm going to have a last video of just the merchandise and gifts that people got me and gave to me at RTX. A lot of the stuff that I got was merch that was exclusive at the time of RTX, which at this point it's already available in the store for anyone to get it. But I still feel like it's necessary to make just because I got that at RTX at the time of, and I got a lot of gifts from people too, and mementos and things like that that people left for me and gave to me at the convention. So that's something that I want to show off. And I'll have a little bit of extra videos that won't be tied to the RTX experience, but will still be there for anyone who wants to watch it, like the Vidiri String Quartet. They opened up the concert, and I think I'm going to do like a medley video of a lot of the pieces that they did, because they do video game orchestra, which is so fucking cool. So I'll definitely be doing a lot of that. So a lot of vlogs and a lot of videos will be coming out next week for you guys. And I'm working on going to RTX this year for any of you guys who want to meet me. Just for anyone who's curious, like I said, I'm currently, and I know like this is the live stream discussion, but I'm rambling right now, but I'm just getting a lot of the personal stuff out of the way, just giving you guys in the loop. But right now, I'm currently saving up. Like, I bought my VIP ticket, and I took my PC savings out to get that, because I didn't think that the tickets would go on sale so soon. So that set my PC back a bit. So right now I'm currently working on the hotel and the airfare for me to be able to just get there like I did last year. So I don't know if I'll do another GoFundMe. I don't know if that'll be completely necessary. But at the end of the day, no matter what, I am going to get to RTX. Like, I have my ticket, so I'm definitively going. I just need to manage to save up between now and the end of the year. So I just need to prioritize which one I'm going to focus more on, RTX right now or the PC right now, because I definitely need... I'm definitely going to want both of them. So that's something that I'm just going to keep on... I'm gonna work on over time. Oh yeah, a lot of you guys are going to be going. That's going to be great. Yeah, I met over 200 people. Like I said, I met over 200 people this year. And my channel, since last year, has tripled. My viewer count has tripled, and my subscribers have tripled since RTX 2016 to now. So I feel like I'm going to meet way more people, especially if it's a lot of people's first time going to RTX, or people who didn't go last year who are going this year. So that's going to be great. Bailey, no, you did not miss anything. I've just been rambling a lot, talking about videos that I'm going to be working on coming out in the next week. We have Chapter 10 coming out tomorrow, so I'm going to be watching that tomorrow. And then the next day, Sunday night, we're going to be doing our live stream discussion for that. So it's going to be very much almost like a back-to-back thing. Because I didn't want to mash these two episodes together, especially since Chapter 9 came out 2 weeks ago. Hey, what's up, Destiny? 13777. I hope you liked Grimm Eclipse. I saw I responded to the tweet that you sent out that the code worked for you, so I'm glad that it worked. Congratulations for winning as well. And but yeah, so we're gonna be getting into Chapter 9, which was a great episode. First thing, the first notable mention is that this is the first episode, I believe, that we got RWBY, Weiss, Blake, and Yang in the episode. We got about 3-4 minutes of each character, which the episode was really short. It was about 14 minutes if you take out the outro and the intro. But we got all 4 girls. The title was called 2 Steps Forward, 2 Steps Back, and I think that was also a reference on the fact that Yang is progressing as a character, Weiss is progressing as a character, but then Blake is having her setback with what happened to Sun, and then RWBY and Team Ranger are having setbacks with the whole deal with Crow, and you know, the thing that's going, you know, things that are happening of them going their separate ways with Ren and Nora. So I like how that aspect was expressed in the opening, because I didn't realize that initially. Someone was like, yeah, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, like Yang and Weiss went forward, Blake and RWBY went back. So I thought that was pretty cool. Let's see. Just checking the chat really quick before we start up. Yeah, my flub last week was really bad. The whole cat business. Yeah, that was pretty funny, honestly. Someone in the comments of that video like specifically time-stamped that exact moment and with the quotes, and then I assume that's what a lot of people went to the video as a highlight for. What do you expect will happen in the next episode? We will get to that at the end of this stream. By the end of the stream, for anyone who wants to know what's going to happen in the next episode, I will let you guys know. What did you miss? Georgia, you are joining. Like, we are literally about to start the discussion. So, the first thing, my girl Yang. So, Yang is back, and immediately, so this is I think Volume 4 is interesting because we're getting constant time skips. She's mentioned that they've been at training like this for weeks, which infers that she put on the arm weeks before, like weeks ago. So from the episode that we saw her come out of the house with it on, and Ty was like, "All right, let's get started," to now, weeks have already passed. So she's definitely gotten a lot more confident. I don't think we've seen the climb, the struggle, like, of what it was like for her to first get used to it. And another interesting thing about it is, like, I don't know if... I'm assuming it's, like, neurologically kind of attached to her, because she can, like, move the fingers and everything as if, like, it's her actual arm. So that makes it even more interesting in terms of, like, it literally acts almost like automail, but it's Atlas tech, which I'm assuming that's the reason why it's the best of the best. But yeah, we see her training with her dad, which is, like, such a cool thing to see because Tai Yang is also a very interesting character. I've been wanting to know more about him since we initially got kind of like not a tease, but we got little context clues here and there, especially from Volume 3, where Ruby's talking to her mom at the gravesite at the beginning of Volume 3, the first episode, actually, and she mentions that Yang's a really great fighter. You can tell she's learned a lot from Dad. So that immediately is like, okay, Yang is very melee-oriented in her fighting style. She uses her fists to fight, and, if she learned from her dad, that means her dad is very, like, close-range combat similar to her. And I like that connection, like, that's how they probably bonded as they grew up, and he's giving her, like, a lot of pep talk now, which is probably something that she's dealt with in the past when it came to her trying to train to become a huntress. And he's a teacher, too. I don't know if he's a teacher at Signal as well, but I know that he is a teacher like Crow, like he's a combat teacher, and he went on missions as well, like Summer Rose did. So I don't know if he was technically like a teacher for her when she was at Signal, or even if she took lessons from Crow, because I know Ruby took lessons from her uncle, and maybe Yang took lessons from Ty. So I just loved the fact that we got a sparring match too, because that's another thing that I was hoping, and I mentioned it in my reaction. I was like, I really hope that we get a sparring match and just see her progression, see how she's learning, seeing if anything's going to get through to her of kind of changing the character that she was to who she is now. Yes, oh my god, I cannot imagine a better character to play the role of Tai Yang than Bernie Burns. I seriously cannot. He is like, he's the dad of Rooster Teeth, and now he's the dad of Barbara, which in a lot of ways I feel like that's also the case. Like, a lot of people go to Bernie for advice, or he's just really great at, talking to people and giving really good advice in general, whether it's on the podcast or, anywhere, or like his life successes of being like a huge part of Rooster Teeth, like being one of the founders. So I can't picture, like, this was a perfect dynamic because it very much felt like Bernie giving Barbara advice, you know what I mean? And that's very true. Like, I'm pretty sure that's happened in the past. It's happened, several times on the podcast. And Bernie's just fucking great. Bernie's awesome, and I can't wait to see where things get serious with Ty, like learning about Summer. We got a little bit about Raven, and just seeing how Bernie's character kind of is fleshed out in that regard, because the only aspect of Bernie that I know in terms of voice acting is Church, and Church is just like an asshole. Like, he doesn't give a fuck about anything. He just, like, goes with the flow with things. He doesn't want, like... he's just really, like, that kind of character. And that's kind of, like, a part of Bernie. Like, Bernie's personality is very much aligned with Church when I think about it. So it's really great to see a more kindred side of Bernie in terms of voice acting with Ty. Simba Sims, what did you miss? Not much. Literally just getting right into the episode, talking a bit about Tai Yang. But yeah, Bernie is lovable. Bernie is an amazing, amazing guy. Yeah, so yeah, his weapon too, like he fights... Everyone has a weapon in RWBY, and every weapon is also a gun. Unless, like, these are the guns, unless, like, these are his guns, like, literally. It's interesting, like... What is his weapon? Does he use, like, gauntlets kind of like Yang does? Because Yang has weapons, but she's not wearing them right now. And they're sparring, so he's not going to, like, go full out against his daughter when he's trying to help her fight and try to get back on her feet. So I'm wondering if he utilizes something similar to, like, the shotgun gauntlets, or gauntlets of some extent, because it doesn't seem like we see his weapon currently. I'm also wondering about the tattoo, if it has anything to do with any type of tribesmanship, or if it's anything deeper that we just don't know. If it has anything to do with his semblance, what is his semblance? He seems to allude to the Cowardly Lion from The Wizard of Oz, which would make sense because he's kind of like, I would assume he was also in Ozpin's, not interior circle, like in terms of protecting the maidens and being the protectors of the universe and the world and all that stuff, but I feel like he does have some leverage with, you know, Kuro and Ozpin to some extent. Given the fact that a lot of characters in the show allude to the Wizard of Oz references. So, it's also a gun. Yeah, like that. I love that. Like, no matter what, every character's weapon is also a gun, which is great. I don't know, actually. I'm not sure if every character... Like, I don't think Neo's weapon is a gun. It's an umbrella, or a parasol, and it's like, it has like a blade in it, too. So that's pretty interesting. You think Ty is probably the most supportive character? Well, I mean, everybody is different, you know what I mean? Like, everybody in the show expresses themselves differently, you know what I mean? Everyone comes from a different walk of life. RWBY and Yang came from a more peaceful side. Blake came from a more, like, very rough and ragged and gritty lifestyle of growing up outside the kingdoms. Weiss came up with, you know, was brought up by royalty, so they have a very narrow-minded and ignorant way of looking at the world. So everybody in the show, like Sun is from Vacuo, and they probably have the roughest lifestyle of everybody in Remnant. So everyone just comes from a different lifestyle. Everyone has a different way of raising their young, the best way possible, for better or worse, or for ways that we just can't see. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I feel about, like, granted, I really don't like Papa Schnee as a character. Like, Jacque, I really don't like him in terms of what I've seen. And a lot of people give Raven shit, but in terms of their stances on where they're coming from for how they raise their families, I'm very open to seeing why it is they choose to act that way, or they choose to express their parenting in that form. No character is just straight up evil or straight up like assholes. Like, they always, like, they have a build up. They have something that acclimates to changing them internally. So I'm still looking for that when it comes to, especially Raven, obviously, because we still don't know a lot about her, even though we finally got to see her this volume. And Papa Schnee definitely needs to expand a bit more in terms of why he sees himself as a businessman first. He doesn't really care about having compassion for even his family, you know what I mean, his kids. So, what do you think Summer's weapon is? I would like to think Summer's weapon is also a scythe, to some extent. Maybe like, I don't know. I would just like it to be a scythe, because then it's kind of like RWBY uses a scythe, Kuro uses a scythe, Summer uses a scythe, or a scythe of some nature. Like, maybe it like detaches and she can use it like a kunai and chain. That'd be kind of cool. Or a sickle and chain, almost like Blake's weapon almost, but something completely different. Yeah, or maybe he is just an asshole, you know, maybe Papa Schnee is just an asshole, because I feel like that just puts, like, you need a character like that in the mix with all of these other different personalities and whatnot. But ultimately, really, 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 really love this episode. Yang's stance right here, I mentioned this in my reaction too, like, she does that so often. Like, that's her signature stance. Like, she did that in the yellow trailer. She did that during the match that she was going to have against Team Funky. So, it's just really great to see that, because it shows, like, she's getting her confidence back. She's actually, like, she's in it for, training and getting better and getting off her feet. And that was really great to see, like, for her to have her confidence boost back. Just really love seeing that. Edward Elric confirmed. Pretty much. No, Aztec Gamer, you're not late. I'm actually starting a bit later, just because I've been rambling for majority of the stream. But we're still in the first phase of talking about Yang and her training with her dad and everything. A big aspect, like, and right here too, like, she's, like, looking at her arm, and that's where I mentioned, like, I wonder if it's neurologically kind of attached to her, like, ligaments and tendons and all that other stuff, and, like, all the muscle, to give her the sensation of moving her fingers as if she actually has her arm. Obviously, she probably doesn't feel pain or anything, just because it's made of metal, and it packs a punch, apparently, given how her training was going at the beginning with Ty. So, RWBY Gear Solid, the Phantom Pain. Yeah, essentially, that's what it also reminds me of. The thing that I didn't realize is, I think she's right-hand dominant, so I think that's crazy how she lost her right arm, and it's replaced with this, which is, like, I don't know, it's just super weird, because, like, you think of, like, how much you depend on, like, your hands and stuff like that to function in like everyday life, and you know what I mean? Like, just try going a day without using your left hand for everything, using it to write, using it to catch stuff. Like, I drive with my right hand, but everything else I use my left hand. Like, I write with my left hand, I'll, like, catch and throw a ball with my right hand. So it's kind of, I'm assuming it was probably like really tough for her to kind of deal with that and acclimate to having this tech to replace her dominant side. Oh, really? Funny enough, I'm downloading Metal Gear Solid 5 while watching this. What a coincidence. That's pretty awesome. Hope you enjoy the game, too. I never got into Metal Gear, honestly. Like the last one that I played the first one and the third one, and then that was it. I had surgery on my right arm, and I couldn't use it for a few months. Wow. That is crazy. Because I can't even imagine, dude. I can't even imagine. Like, I've thought of that sometimes. I've thought of, like, what would happen, like, especially after Yang lost her arm, I was like, what would happen if I lost my right arm? Like, I would have to relearn life all over again. Like, I would have to learn how to write. Like, I've tried doing it for both hands. Like, I've tried writing my name, and it's just so different. Like, well, obviously it's different, but it's just, like, I would never need to do that, so I don't practice it as much or anything, but it's literally like your life's being turned upside down. And I don't even think we have technology as good as what Atlas has, to where she's actually fighting and she's back to normal, and she mentions, like, you know, it's really light, and, you know, it's almost like it's almost not noticeable, the fact of how realistic it is compared to the actual thing. Oh, you broke your... I've never broke a muscle in my... I've never broke a bone in my body, rather. I'm very fortunate enough to be able to say that, even though it is a mystery. It's a curio of mine. Like, I always wonder, like, I wonder what that's like. You know what I mean? He said her balance was off, so her arm weighs a ton more than her old one. No. When he mentioned her balance is off, I think he meant her balance in terms of her offensive and defensive approaches during the matchup, because she mentioned that too, and he was like, I wasn't talking about your actual balance. But he was like, yeah, that could work too. Yeah, the joys of being ambidextrous. Yeah. It hurts like hell. Oh, I can only imagine. I wouldn't even want to imagine, honestly. Yeah, mental balance is more along the lines of what he was talking about. But, what I want to talk about, if we're going to talk about Yang improving, and I'm going to disappear here for a second, is this right here. Boom, 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 boom. One thing here that I'm so happy to see, and something that I mentioned alongside Yang's temper tantrum, that's like her biggest weakness. Her second biggest weakness is that she is very susceptible to kicking characters. Monty mentioned that a while back, that Yang's biggest weakness when it comes to a fight are characters that kick. If you go back and watch the Yellow trailer, you can see that she's having a lot of trouble fighting Melanie, the girl in white, because she's the one that kicks. Like, that's why she had to separate the two during her fight, and she got rid of Melanie and Melsha. She got rid of Melsha, and then she went after Melanie, so that way she could have a one-on-one and primarily focus. But she was having a lot of trouble with that. And then again in the tournament, I honestly think that Mercury threw the fight just to kind of set things in motion for setting up Yang to look like she attacked him on purpose. But I honestly feel like Mercury would have defeated her because she was also struggling. Like Tai Yang also mentioned, she used her semblance every fight, in every match. She used her semblance to win every fight. Like, as her trump card. She used it immediately in almost every single fight to win her matchups. So the fact of the matter is, like, she's utilizing kicks in her combat style now. And we've never seen that before. Maybe we've seen it once or twice. I'm not entirely sure. I honestly don't think we've ever seen it. But the fact that she's actually kicking for the first time, like, and it's apparent that it's fluid with her fighting style, gives me a lot of hope that we will definitely be seeing a more well-rounded Yang in the future. Hopefully, if she gets, like, a lot more serious once she actually leaves home, if we see her in a fight down the line, I really hope that that's the case. And like I mentioned before, Tai Yang is a perfect teacher. You know what I mean? Like, he taught her everything she knows. He's expressed a lot of, like, fighting techniques in this fight alone, like this sparring matchup himself. You know what I mean? Like, when they went into the second round, like, he was showing off some pretty flashy kicks and stuff like that himself. You know, punching and kicking. So I'm surprised that he didn't really explain that. Like, maybe maybe that's why she's kicking a lot more, because she realizes, like, her fists aren't going to get the job done in every single fight. You know what I mean? She has to be more well-rounded, and I feel like if she's expressing these kicks a lot more and utilizing them in her fighting style, that she'll have a better understanding of how to deal with kicking characters, like how to deal with Mercury, how to deal with, you know, Melanie Malachite if they ever cross paths again, how to deal with Neo, who primarily kicks a lot in her fighting style. Especially since they've had, like, their, you know, she basically is going to get a rematch, I'm assuming. So, or, like, if we ever find out what the fuck's up with Neo at this point, actually. But I'm really... Shotgun shoes. Nah, at that point, you'd just be stealing from Mercury. Mercury would be pissed, dude. If she just came back, she had shotgun gauntlets and shotgun shoes. Yeah, she did. She kicked Melanie in the face in the trailer, which that was, like, super hype, because she, like, built up the momentum and, like, spun her into it too, and did a double flip. Oh man, or a double spin rather into the kick, and it just, like, took her out, which was great. Yeah, Neo's how are they gonna introduce her? You know what I mean? Like, is she just gonna weasel her way back to Salem or Cinder or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, Torchwick's gone, presumably, and I really don't see how they're gonna weave her back into the story. Not even weaving her back into the story, because I feel like they could just bring her back and fans would just... Like, they could just bring her back as fan service and people would be happy. But the big thing is, how are they gonna bring her back and make her relevant? Neo was only relevant because Torchwick was around. You know what I mean? Like, Neo was never around without Torchwick, or she was never far from Torchwick whenever she was around. And, you know, she played along when it came to, you know, him being imprisoned, helping out Cinder and them. But, like, how do they make her relevant without Torchwick? You know what I mean? That's, like, the big thing that I'm wondering. You know, people mention, like, oh, she's going to have a revenge. She's going to get revenge on RWBY, because RWBY was the last one seen with Torchwick, and if she finds out he died, you know, I mean, granted, RWBY didn't kill him. If she finds out he died, like, she'll go after RWBY, but it's like, everybody and their mother's already after RWBY, you know? You have Cinder, you have, like, Salem and everybody in her council after RWBY. So, oh my god, as a maiden? No way. No fucking way. I could see that, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, how else would you make Neo relevant than being a maiden? But at that but at the same time, it's like too convenient, especially since we don't know how she got tied up with Roman, like where Roman found her or whatever. Was she always a part of Roman's group? Did he recruit Neo between volumes 1 and 2? So a lot of those things we don't have answers to, so I don't really know. But yeah, that's Neo's an enigma all on her own. Like I genuinely am wondering how they're gonna bring her back. What if she's the Spring Maiden? Well, that would make sense because no one can find the Spring Maiden. Then again, Raven kind of alluded that she does know where the Spring Maiden is. Not to say that it is Neo or anything, but it'd be very interesting. It would be very interesting. Neo for Grimm Eclipse. I honestly want every character in Grimm Eclipse. Either that, or they make a more enhanced RWBY game in the future, or a title update to improve like where the game needs work, and then just include all of those new characters. That'd be awesome. But yeah, so moving on from there, because I do feel like I'm like constantly getting off track. Yang's learning a lot in terms of her fighting technique. Right here is where he mentions like he's not talking about your actual balance. And then she gets the much-needed pep talk that I feel she deserves. But before that, we gotta talk about Zwei. He looks so different, in a good way, obviously, just based on the fact that we didn't really see that much of Zwei in Volume 3. You know what I mean? Zwei kind of shined primarily from his appearance in Volume 2 when he was introduced. We saw his kind of combination, like fireball attack with Ooplex, so that kind of raised even more like hype for the dog. And then Volume 3, we kind of only saw him here and there. We saw him like towards the end of the volume, and we haven't really seen much of him since. And I think that's why it's so exciting to actually see him. Someone said doggo, yeah, to see the doggo, just because like he looks so fucking awesome. And I was already hyped for Zwei and Chibi, because they're like, Zwei's already adorable as fuck, and then they take Chibi and like they make him like 1 billion times more adorable, and then they bring him into like Volume 4 with the new animation style and everything like that, and it's like, how could like I want more Zwei. That'd be so fucking awesome if like Tai goes on an adventure and takes Zwei with him, or Yang goes with Zwei. Like well, he's a corgi, so he can't get bigger. Because I was gonna say, like, imagine Yang takes him and like they go off on their journey, and like she has him as a companion, and he like grows to be like this like really strong and dependable hound or something like that. But corgis don't get any bigger than that, so, and I think that's the charm of Zwei as a character. Zwei power. Yeah, like Zwei's so freaking cool. Like he freaking headbutted a Beowulf, I think it was, at the end of volume 2, which again, another cameo, like another display of Zwei's awesomeness. But it was really great to see him. Like, he's the official towel boy. Official towel boy, and his interaction was so subtle. Like, he was there during the whole thing, and at some points, like during like Tai and Yang's conversation, he's just like looking back and forth at both of them as they're exchanging dialogue, and I'm just like, yo, like Zwei is so fucking, like, all my attention was primarily focused on him during those moments. Zwei is best dog. Oh, you know what? Velvet should have taken a picture of Zwei at one point, and then she'd be able to summon him. I don't know if that would work, because I know she summons she takes pictures of weapons, but she did take a picture of I don't know if she took a picture of Weiss, or if she took a picture of her armor, of her summons sword, like that was coming out of the summon glyph at the end of Volume 3. But that'd be super fucking awesome if she's able to do that. I miss everybody, to be honest. I do. Like, I miss Coco, I miss Yatsuhashi, I miss Velvet. Like, the big thing is, like, what do they look like in the animation style? You know what I mean? Like, the new animation look of the show. Like, how do they look? You know what I mean? Like, we haven't even seen, like, Emerald and Mercury, which begs the question, like, how prominent is their role at this point? Because Salem has her council, and Cinder has the Fall Maiden's powers now, the full-fledged Fall Maiden's powers. So it's like, what does she need them for? You know what I mean? Like, I would still keep Emerald around because her semblance is broken as fuck. Mercury just seems like irked at every single thing that's going on. And, but I don't know, I do miss a lot of these characters. I hope we see Winter again. It'd be great to see her by the end of the volume. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe Yang will go back. I think what will most likely happen is we'll see those characters from Yang's side of the story, because Yang's still on Patch, and she's still near Vale, where I'm assuming most of these characters are from, like Velvet and stuff like that. I'm assuming like Team Sun, like they went back to their own places, or maybe they're still in Vale. I'm not entirely sure. I know Sun briefly mentioned it. I think they're still in Mistral, or they went back to Mistral, which means Ruby and them will probably see Team Sun. Blake will probably see any members who went back to Atlas, maybe Team Funky. That'd be pretty great. Even though we didn't get to see them at the concert, which the concert wasn't as concerty as I thought it'd be. But, you know, I digress. But yeah, definitely want to give a shout out to Zwei, because he definitely deserves it. And then, like, this is where the pep talk comes in, and this is where, again, the whole Bernie and Barbara dynamic, I feel it so much in this. Like, I know it's Yang and Tai, but it's just what I know so far that's what I know of the community, and, you know, knowing about Bernie and Barbara over the years and stuff like that from the podcast and stuff, it felt very, very comforting to kind of hear this conversation of Yang kind of coming to realization. Maybe she never thought of it, you know what I mean? Maybe she never thought of how reckless she was, or how hard-headed or stubborn or, you know, boneheaded that she was in the moment or during a fight or anything. And, you know, it took her dad to kind of level her head out, of realizing, hey, you used your semblance way too fucking much. Like, especially when it came to, like, Adam. Like, you don't go into a fight, you don't go, like, and, you know, despite my initial reaction when I reacted to it, I was like, yeah, no one could beat Yang, you know what I mean? Like, Adam's not gonna, you know, she can take him. That's basically what I thought, because I was ignorant of Adam as a potential threat. You know what I mean? And that's how my reaction was when with Emerald and Mercury, because I completely forgot. I was like, these guys aren't students. They're like full-fledged freaking mercenaries. You know what I mean? Like, they're leagues above these kids. And then when you see them fight in Volume 3 in the tournament, in my mind, I was just like, holy shit, I completely forgot. So, you know, like, she used her semblance to win against Team Arbor, and she used her semblance to win against, Flint and Neon Cat. She used her semblance to win against Mercury. She tried to use her semblance against Adam, and it just fucking backfires, you know what I mean? She used her semblance against Torchwick in the mech fight. She used her semblance against Junior and his goons. It's like, that's, you don't, like, you know what I mean? And she used her semblance most of those times. It's like, that's not needed. Like, you don't need your semblance to win this. Like, why are you doing that? Like, you're just putting all of your cards out on the table, and you're easily countered. Like, and that's how Neon was working it. She was getting Yang pissed off on purpose, because she knew how to push her buttons and kind of get her to make those types of reactions that they were expecting. If it wasn't for, I would say if it wasn't for Weiss kind of taking the fall like that, maybe they would have lost on Yang's side of things, because she doesn't think before she acts. Yeah. I wonder what Neon Cat looks like right now. If you use your trump card every time. Yeah, it's no longer a trump card. And it's like, I'm surprised she's made it this far due to that. You know what I mean? I'm surprised people don't break it down like Ty did. He was like, you use your semblance to win every fight. Your semblance isn't like any others because it's based on your emotions, and if you get clouded, your emotions get clouded, like, all that power means nothing at the end of the day. Like he mentioned too, it's like, the big thing too was like, what if you use your semblance, not if you miss, what if they're stronger? And that's basically what happened. Like, Adam I don't know if it was based on Adam's semblance, if it was based on Adam's aura or his weapon or whatever, but he completely disregarded Yang's attack, like, in general. Like, just disregarded it and kind of doubled it back as a counter himself. Like, I think his semblance works like Yang's based on the Black trailer and based on, you know, the context clues that we could get from both that trailer and his interaction with Blake before Yang showed up. But I think his semblance works very much similar. Like, someone needs to attack him for his semblance to activate. Yang's is the opposite. Yang's is like, I can attack you and fight you. You have to hit me for my semblance to activate, for me to actually make a deeper impact than I'm already doing. So I think this was really needed, because this was one of Yang's, not, when I say weakness, I don't mean it in the sense of like bad, like her as a character, like that's terrible for her character. It's something that makes her character a lot better, because she has flaws, you know. I see a lot, like, when it comes to OC characters, I see a lot of OCs from time to time. I'll see a lot of OCs who are very, like, overpowered. Like, my semblance can do everything and there's no drawbacks to it, and I think the weakness, I think giving a character a severe weakness, but something that doesn't break them, is the best aspect of that character. And for Yang, I would say out of everyone in Team RWBY's, hers is the most apparent, and it's the one that I think, if she can learn to, hers is very malleable. Like, it's all based on her emotions, it's all based on how she processes things and deals with them, and it doesn't get to them, you know what I mean? The best analogy that I can give is, like, a couple weeks ago on the podcast, Bernie was talking about, like, how people will get immediately triggered when he says something, and he takes that very seriously, but at the end of the day, he realizes that it's not their fault that he's feeling that way. It's based on the fact that he is taking it that way versus just applying it to be like, okay, this is what they mean, this is how I should take it, and, you know, he won't get upset. And that's how it is for Yang too. She's got to keep a level head. She's got to think before she acts, more than anything. Just because she's gorgeous, and just because, she's got a pretty smile, and she's a strong fighter, and she's confident in herself, all of that could just crumble in an instant when you get too big-headed. And I think that's Yang's biggest fault, in a good way, is that, and it's something so simple, but I think it definitely comes with, like, you have to reach your bottom point in order to grow in that regard. Yeah, RWBY can't. Yeah, RWBY's biggest flaw is, like, she's, like, shit without Crescent Rose. Like, without Crescent Rose, she's absolute trash. I think Weiss has grown the most. I don't know if I can really point out, maybe besides her summon, but now it seems like she has that under control. I think her development and growth is more along the lines of being confident with who she is and not trying to please people, primarily her family, her dad. And then Blake is just a basket full of, like, emotions and a basket full of problems that need to be resolved with herself, her family, the White Fang, Adam, and all that other stuff. Especially her and Yang, of how she just left, she just left Yang and everything like that. So Ty's semblance is definitely fertility. I see that so much. I see that everywhere. It's like, impregnates the entire team. It's like, what about Crow? Entire team. It's it's so fucking funny. Like, I understand it's a joke, but it's super funny just because it's like, well, what the fuck is his actual semblance? Yeah. Ty is a master of CQC. Entire team crew. That explains the skirt. Jesus Christ. He impregnated the moon. But yeah, long story short, oh my god, Matthew. She's a litter of problems. You're not joining the Discord tomorrow. Just for that, dude. Oh my god. That was a missed opportunity for me. Because I said she has a basket of problems, which I thought of a basket of kittens, but I didn't know how to work that into being a cat pun. That was really good. That was really good. Yeah. Alright, so, long story short for Yang, I really like this conversation that she had with her dad. First off, it's a really good father-daughter bonding experience. It's a very good mentoring experience, too, because in a lot of cases, like, Ty is her mentor, not just her dad, but he taught her everything that she knows, so in many cases... Oh, and the funny thing, too, was, like, he mentioned, he was like, you've always been one to burn brighter than anyone else, whether it was with your smile or, well, I remember the first time you got your first haircut. And I'm assuming that's how they discovered her semblance, is, like, she's just cutting... I think I saw someone do I saw a fan art of it, of, like, Summer Rose cutting Yang's hair, and then, like, she just burst into flames, and then Ty's like, what's going on? And then they're like, I don't know! And then Yang's just there crying like she's, like, a Super Saiyan. I can't remember the fan art, and I didn't end up saving it, but yeah, like, and that's the thing, too, like, I feel like he developed her up to be more of, like, a huntress that she wanted to be, being the oldest of the bunch, so... In many cases, I like this. Like, this is a very, like, you know, firstborn daughter, oldest, you know, of the two, getting the pep talk from the dad, because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure it's Yang that's going to go back out there and look for RWBY and not Ty. Maybe Ty's going to hold the fort, maybe Ty's going to go back to the school and, you know, catch up with poor Oopleck and Galinda to try to figure out what's going on or try to help. So, he's got to give her the tools that she needs before he can set her out, you know, because... essentially, either that, she's going to lose another arm, or she's going to lose her life, or she's going to, you know, endanger other people if she doesn't keep a cool head. And that's going to be interesting, too, to see how she goes back into, you know, she goes back into the fire of Remnant, you know what I mean? Goes back to her teammates, how they're going to react to a lot of things, how she's going to keep you know, keep cool, calm, and collected after everything that's happened. The only issue that I feel like she's always going to have on the back of her mind, because something that I feel like even Ty himself can't like, mend, is how she's going to react to both Blake and Adam. Those are the only two things that I'm fearing for her as a character at this point. It seems like everything else on the surface is good, but, you know, underneath all of that, you know, underneath, like, the smile and the confidence and, you know, the building up of character is, like... You know, that is what ultimately is going to break her, especially if it's her and Adam one-on-one, or how she's going to react to Blake one-on-one. Yeah, Yang is definitely going to go back looking for RWBY, or trying to figure out what the hell's going on, because she's out of the loop. Like, everybody else, at least Team RWBY, Team Juniper, well, RWBY and Team Juniper, they know about the maidens. You know, Yang doesn't know about the maidens. She doesn't know what happened to the school. She doesn't know... anything. Like, she's super oblivious to everything. RWBY hasn't contacted them or anything. Crow's out there, like, she doesn't know if her uncle's in danger, like, she doesn't know the severity of her uncle being in danger, or anything, you know what I mean? The biggest fear for me is, like, if we know something that the characters don't, which currently we do, like, we know who the villains are, they don't know who the villains are, but, like, like, the worst thing would happen is if, like, oh, man, the worst thing that would happen... that, like, the worst thing for me that would probably, like, break my heart would be, like, if, like, Nora and Ren, if they're separated from Jean and RWBY, and we see, like, from their perspective, if one of them dies, or if both of them die, or if something happens to both of them, and then elsewhere, everyone else thinks they're fine, and that they're good, and that nothing's wrong, and they just don't link up again. You know what I mean? Like, something like that. Like, that is something that I would be so devastated by, if a character goes unnoticed in that regard. Not saying that it will happen, but the last thing that I would have wanted for any of these characters is to go their separate ways. You know what I mean? Like, you don't fucking do that, you know? I can understand, based on the fact that they're trying to save Crow more than anything. But yeah, that's the one thing that I just have to be realistic about and just apply and be like... You got to think about those things too. Like some people in the chat are like, why would you say that? Like, you have to think about those things just because when it happened, at least you had a level of expectancy. I would never want to be caught off guard like I was with Pyrrha. I was building her up so much in my head. I was building her up to be like, oh my god, she's going to be the Fall Maiden. She's going to get all these powers. Her life and Amber's are going to be intertwined. How's that dynamic going to work? She's going to be the savior of everyone. And then none of that happened. Like, they built you up and just fucking tore you off at the freaking knee. And I need to apply myself a lot better to kind of cushion myself for, like, impact. You know what I mean? Definitely don't want to go off. I definitely don't want to be caught off guard like that. Yeah, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer. I really don't mean to be a Debbie Downer on that, but I mean, like, you know, it doesn't look good. For Team Ranger, at least, it does not look good. Especially since you have an injured bad luck charm you have John and RWBY traveling with an injured bad luck charm into what appears to be like Grimm infested territories. Like that's not gonna, like, you can't be optimistic about that. You really can't. But yeah, ultimately, love this scene. Love the whole Barbara, Bernie vibes that were going on. Really awesome. Again, right here. This is the scene that I was talking about. But this right here, again, like the pep talk, it was really great. He was just talking about, like, if your semblance misses or if they're stronger than you, you're fucked. You know, you can't apply yourself. You can't apply your semblance like that. Not everyone uses their semblance like her either. Hers seems to be a lot more, like, she can just activate it and deactivate it whenever. Like, Nora's, I think she can generate electricity, but we've only seen her semblance activate whenever she channels electricity from another source. We haven't seen Jean's semblance. We need to see Jean's semblance. Jean's semblance being activated is, like, the only hope that I would have for them coming out of that situation unscathed. We haven't seen Ren's semblance yet. Weiss's semblance is very versatile because it has, like, a bunch of different aspects. Her being kind of like the mage of Team RWBY, you know, with the glyphs of propelling and contracting and summoning and time dilation and all this other awesome shit. Dust manipulating, you know, can be woven into that. So hers is very well-rounded. And then obviously we have Blake's semblance essentially only activates whenever, prior. Her semblance has evolved since then, but, like, volumes 1 through 3, her semblance was only utilized whenever. Nope, that's wrong, because volume 3, how she beat Reese Cloris in the tournament, she set up a clone that just stood there. Every other time, it was like she had to get hit to activate a clone to take the hit for her. So her semblance has definitely evolved. It's very much like a shadow clone jutsu from Naruto at this point. Yeah, I really feel like at this point I cannot picture them going 5 volumes without seeing a brand new semblance. Like, just apply that. Like, we haven't seen I don't think we've seen a new semblance this volume yet. You know, we've seen one every other volume. Like volume 1, we got a plethora of semblances. Volume 2, the biggest one that I can think of or take away from volume 2 was Sun's semblance, like when he can summon, like, those light clones. Volume 3, we got Nora's semblance, at least Nora's semblance. I can't really think off the top of my head anybody else's, at least not immediately. And Volume 4, we haven't seen anybody else's, and we know that Jean's semblance has been something that he's been working on since Volume 1. Since his training with Pyrrha, since Volume 1, we haven't seen it yet. And we're getting more, like, development with Ren, so Ren has the potential to show off what he's capable of in terms of his semblance. So, yeah, like, we learned Crow's semblance too. Yeah, like I mentioned, I just couldn't think of them off the fly. Like, yeah, Flint Cole's semblance, Velvet semblance. We got more information on like the Schnee semblance. Like, they can all summon and they all have glyphs. So, I'm really hoping that we see either one of their semblances. That would be incredible. So what gets really interesting here is that we get information on Raven. Not information in terms of why is she doing, like, not the nitty-gritty information, but a bit on her pre-time skit, like pre-time development, like what she was like back in the day, like with her team and before, maybe I guess before she became a mom or anything like that. Like mother, like daughter. You know, she's very bullish, she's very hard-headed, she's very aggressive and everything, which begs the question of how Ty was able to rein a chick like that in. You know what I mean? Like, she's super aggressive, especially towards her brother from what we saw of her. And, you know, he mentions that he sees a lot of Raven in Yang as, you know, her mother, you know, and her being the daughter. But she doesn't see everything. You know, and he mentions, like, she was super ambitious. She was amazing in so many ways. She, you know, she had a fierce devotion to whatever she thought was worth fighting for. But she had her faults. We don't know what those faults are. We don't know anything in depth, but that at the end of the day, that's what cost them their team. That's what cost their family, and it's what cost her to leave. I think the faults may have been based on the fact of, you know, drudging up on old history. You know, like she brought up to Kuro, she was like, you left the tribe. You know what I mean? Like, the tribe raised us and you turned your back on them. And he was like, I left because they're a bunch of freaking thieves and murderers and killers and criminals and villains and stuff like that. And I think maybe that was something that, you know, as she became more, you know, because apply it like this, okay? She's a member of Team Stark. You have Summer Rose, Tai Yang Xiaolong, Crow Branwyn, and Raven Brand. We have these 4 characters. And 3 of your characters are pretty, you know, pretty level-headed individuals. You know, Crow, especially given the fact he left a tribe of murderers and thieves and killers. And then you have this one character on your team. You have this one teammate who lives with, who approves of, and who's very protective of a band of bandits, of killers, of thieves, of mercenaries, and people that just don't live very harmoniously with anybody else. And I can see that being something that's like, hey, why are you dealing with these people? Like, these people are like the worst of the worst. And I can see that maybe being something that tore their team apart or came between their team. I don't know if it was anything more internal than that. I really, like, you know what I mean? Like, my guess is as good as you guys' of anything that I can really think of. And when it comes to family, she definitely has a very skewed perception. But like Crow said, it's like, your family is the guy that you left. Your family is the daughter that you abandoned. Your family are the people that love and care about you. And it doesn't always mean that it's the people that raised you. You know what I mean? Like, family is not really family is literally, it's super ambiguous. The word family is so ambiguous because it doesn't just necessarily mean the people that birthed you or the people that, you know, that you were born in the same house with. It's about the people that care about you, who teach you right from wrong, who are always there for you, who are supportive, loving, caring, etc. I know that's all cheesy and whatnot to hear, but that's the truth, you know what I mean? I know people in my life that I consider blood related. I know people that are like brothers and sisters and family to me, especially the Rooster Teeth community. And, like, we don't have to be cut from the same cloth for me to think that. And I think that's something that Raven, she's tied to her past too much, you know what I mean? Maybe she sees, like... And another thing that I could see is maybe whenever she became the leader of this tribe, because at that point, it's like, okay, I'm the leader of this tribe. I can't be dealing with you guys as a team because I have other people that are depending on me, so deuces. Hey, I got this daughter. And that's the thing, too. I don't think Raven is as bad of a parent as people are letting on. I could definitely see her being like, look, this lifestyle isn't something I wanted for me. It's something that I'm dealing with. I don't want this for our daughter. You take her. I'm leaving. You know what I mean? And maybe she's just watching her from afar, keeping her safe, like with Neo. Unfortunately, it's like Ohana means family. Oh, no, you said Obama means family. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I honestly do feel like it's just a multitude of issues and things with Raven, like her ties with the tribe, her leadership as tribe, you know, her ties, you know, ultimately her ties, and then her upcoming with being the tribe leader. And she lives, I think my friend Jackson said it perfectly, Tsubasa Yu, he put it perfectly. He was like, Raven lives by the law of, like, the animal kingdom, which is, like, the strong survive, the weak die, you know what I mean? Like, if you have what it takes to overthrow another for your own benefit, for your own survival, then you do that. You don't think about morality, you don't think about right and wrong, you think about surviving, and that's all that matters. And that's the rule that she lives by. You know, people of Shion, hey, it sucks to be you guys, but it's like, if you don't have what it takes to survive, then it was inevitable. It was going to happen no matter what. It was just a matter of time. So, she's so enigmatic of a character. Like, we don't know her angle. We don't know what she knows, how much she knows, how relevant she is to the story. But it's like, she's a very important character because she's a part of one of the most prominent teams in the show, Team Stark, and she's the mother of one of the main characters. So, Raven is a failure of a mother, simple to some until we find more of her reasonings. Yeah, like, I mean, that's initially the thing. Like, it's very easy to just cast stones immediately. I mean, I don't do that anymore now just because, like, characters like Itachi kind of changed my perception on that. Like, they told me this character was evil, so I'm gonna go with it. You're evil no matter what. And then by the end of the series, he's like one of the best characters in the show. So, or the ends justified the means at the end of the day for him. What do you think about that weird rule of hers? One freebie, save, and that's it. I think that applies. Yeah, so what you're referring to is the fact that she mentioned, like, she only told Yang that she would save... She mentioned to Kuro that she would only save Yang once. And again, I think this goes back to her kind of rule of, like, her lifestyle, how she lives in the kingdom. Like, the weak survive... the strong survive and the weak die. So I feel like, for her, it's like, look, if my daughter can't make it out there, then she's worth being killed. That's her logic. You know, that's what she's thinking. But it's like, I'll give you one chance to make up for that. I'll give you one chance to apply yourself. I'll give you one chance to learn from your mistakes. That's it. For Neo, she was essentially going to die. And then for Adam, it was like, you didn't die, but you were very close to it. So I think that's why she did that. Maybe it was just her own hard-set rule for herself to be like, look, I'll try to save my daughter if she's ever in a bind, but I don't want her to expect that from me because then she's never going to learn. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I think maybe that's what she was applying to that whole rule of, you know, everybody gets one. You know, the whole Spider-Man logic. But yeah, love this whole dynamic. Again, gives us more questions and answers when it comes to Yang, unfortunately. And then we get into the whole second half of their little sparring session, which again is pretty awesome. I think I have another 4 here, so I'm gonna disappear for a second. Yeah, so this is getting more of Tai Yang side of things. Like, he's well-rounded. Like, you see him punching, you see him kicking, you see him grabbing, and it just shows that, like, he's a very good teacher in being well-rounded and showing Yang, like, hey, you got feet, use them. You know what I mean? Like, don't just feel like you have to just think straightforward with power and shooting and stuff like that, because that's what makes you narrow-minded. That's what kind of sets you up for failure, and that's what gives your opponents a way of kind of gauging what kind of fighter you are. So, yeah, that leg sweep. Yeah, I really like that. Again, it's just more showing of Tai Yang. Obviously, it's very light for the sake and the fact that it's a sparring match, but I would have absolutely loved it. I would have absolutely loved to see him, like, in action, which I'm assuming we'll get more of that in the future. But obviously, that's something that we're going to have to wait on, unfortunately. And then, like, right here, he's just like, yeah, you know, you're getting it. Like, and that's the thing that I love the most, too, like, how quick Yang applied herself. Because it was like, hey, you're off balance. this is what I'm, you know, this, you're off balance, give you a pep talk, learn from your mistakes, keep a level head, etc., etc., go back into it, and boom, she like applies it immediately and kind of turns things on, turns the script, like flips the script for him. And then we had this little moment right here that I really liked. Both of them like acknowledging like, okay, she's learning, and then she's like, yep, I'm learning. And it was just a very tender moment for both of them. Like, seeing Yang again was great. It's because we haven't seen her in a few episodes. Seeing Tai after, you know, not really getting much out of him aside from him being, you know, Yang's own therapist during like her whole time at home. It was another great thing to see. Getting the dynamic kind of like Bernie and Barbara thing going on was really great to experience. And right there, like, that was perfect too, because it was the whole, now who's off balance now, you know what I mean? And that's what I mentioned in my reaction too. I was like, first she was off balance, now he's off balance, which was great. Yeah, her smile is incredible too. Like, he wasn't kidding too. He was like, you've always been one to burn brighter than anybody else, whether it was with your smile. And it's like, you know, she's got a really great smile. Tai is like Chuck Norris. He punches so hard that his fist phases through his opponent's eyebrows. Yeah, 425 viewers. Thank you guys all for sticking around. I do apologize that, first off, we've been on Yang and Tai for about an hour, so I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit in terms of everybody else. Obviously, I'm not going to cut any corners, but I feel like that was a lot to take in for just that one scene. But there was a lot to talk about, you know what I mean? Like, this was it was a quick 4-minute scene, but there was just so much to apply, mainly because it's like severe character development that Yang needed. Like, Yang needs the development because she's a flawed character in the way that she deals with things. She deals with things more head-on, headstrong, doesn't think, doesn't apply herself in that aspect. And I think that's why so many people, I think that's why like Ironwood and everybody else at the tournament was so willing to believe that Yang really did attack Mercury, because that's her personality. It's very firecracker-esque, you know what I mean? Like what Crow said. And the fact that, you know, in the tournament itself, like, she was fighting against Neon Cat. Neon was just saying, like, she was just talking. She was like, ooh, you're really top-heavy. Oh, you should go on a diet. Oh, are those your hair extensions? Like, just annoying Yang, just pissing her off. And it just shows, like, Yang is very easily, like, she's a ticking time bomb with a very short fuse. And, like, when people see that, it was so easy for them to manipulate. It was so easy for, like, Cinder, M, and Merc to manipulate that into their plans. And be like, oh, shit, we'll make an illusion that she attacked you. Because people will believe that. Because she's so sporadic in her emotions and just not being able to keep herself in check. Ren will release his inner Asian and save Crow. Well, they're going their separate ways now, so at this point, I'm assuming Jean needs to step up. Jean needs to do something, you know? Whether it's Petty Bandits or whether it's a Grimm that they're going to see at the end of this, you know, at the end of this trail to Kuro Yuri. Jean, like, I didn't expect Jean to be able to do much, if anything, with Tyrion, like, at all. Like, Tyrion just bodied all of them. You know what I mean? And he was very even with Crow for the most part. But, like, I really need Jean to step it up. Not just for myself, not just for him as a character, because he's trying, you know what I mean? Like, he's applying himself. Like, he's taking, like, those practice lessons, Pyrrha's practice lessons, like, seriously, every night probably, whenever he can. And, you know, he's going through hell to become that fighter that she believed him to be. And, you know, I just want to see him grow. You know what I mean? I want to see him flourish, and I know he has the potential to do so. Well, someone mentioned it. RWBY Grimm Eclipse, when you play as Ren literally reminds me of Neji Hyuga from Naruto. he fights, like his fighting style, like his combo set, he actually uses his palms. Similar to like how he fought the Taijutsu, the King Taijutsu in Volume 1, like he used like that attack that kind of blew its head off with like his aura or whatever. He fights just like that, and he reminds me so much of Neji. So much of Neji Hyuga. And a lot of people were making comments on that in the stream, and they were like, oh, all he has to do is activate his Byakugan. Yeah. At least it's not sexy jutsu. Yeah. But yeah, really love this scene. Moving on from here, we got my girl right here. I call all of them my girls, but Weiss is my favorite in Team RWBY. Yang's much-needed development is applied, and it's just a matter of time before she's confident in her fighting techniques, once she's level-headed, once she's cool, calm, reserved, and once she's kind of built herself back up to head out from Patch, go back to Vale, try to retrace her steps, find out where Ruby's going. Maybe she'll have a team of her own that she'll be going with, you know. But we got Weiss, which is really great to see because really don't like how like her lifestyle's been lately. Like the last episode with her dad, like very shocking that he really resorted to hitting her, and you know, kind of probably making her feel like shit, like, oh, I'm back in this hellhole, and her brother's kind of right there with him, you know, no support from him and anybody really. Like she's kind of trapped in her house now. Klein's the only one that she can really turn to, and I'm so fucking thankful for the dude. I'm so fucking thankful for Klein. Depending on whatever her plan is, which I'm assuming it's just to use her summon and get the fuck out of there. But she's growing, she's applying herself, she's a lot more, I don't know, she's grown, she's learned a lot more based on what her sister told her, which was like, emotions can grant you strength, but you must never let them overpower you, and to just apply that, and she used it to end up summoning, which was really awesome. And this, I remember my oh my fucking god, I was so fucking proud when I saw that. Like, once it was fully fleshed out, like, I was so happy, just because it's like, oh my god, like, go back and watch Volume 1. Like, you will never get the same Weiss, you'll never get Volume 1 Weiss, you'll never get Volume 1 Jean. Like, they're so good, like, they're so, like, developed, and they have so much depth, in the show just, they become so, I don't even really know how to put it, it's just so good to see how far they've come in such, like, in the world itself, it's a very short amount of time, but it's 4 years in the making for us. It's just so great to see that kind of, see the characters that they were destined to be, you know. I just really loved it. I know I can't really find ways to kind of put it into words, but Klein is a crepe bender. Where's Winter? Well, I'm pretty sure she's off doing her own thing. The more I watch these streams and read these comments, I realize we're all just huge kids. Honestly, like, for me, like, I don't know if I've ever mentioned that. I know I've mentioned this before, but it's been very few and far between. But the reason why I love RWBY so much is because, like before RWBY came out, so RWBY came out in 2013. At that point, I was already out of high school for 3 years, and prior to that, when I was mainly in high school and stuff like that, I was kind of like living a lie, almost. Not living a lie, but I was very selective about opening up to people and kind of letting people know who I, quote-unquote, truly was. Like, growing up, I never grew out of things, you know what I mean? Like, my mom always used to say it too, like, my mother never realized why Like, she understood when I was a kid, but she never realized why I'm going on 17, 20, 25. I'm still playing video games. I'm still... And it's not like she looked down on it, because she preferred me playing video games and staying out of trouble than, like, being with a bad crowd or, you know, getting caught up in situations and stuff like that. So, in many cases, it kept me out of trouble. It was something that I liked doing. So, it wasn't like she frowned upon it or anything, but she never really understood the whole aspect of video games and stuff. And in many cases, whenever I get into something, I never grow out of it. I just grow with it. You know, like, I've loved Pokemon since 1996. I've loved Digimon for the same amount of time. I've been playing video games since 1994. Since I was 4 years old, the SNES was the first console I ever picked up and played. You bring over Yu-Gi-Oh cards, yo, we're dueling. I'm sending your ass to the Shadow Realm. You know, like, a lot of the things that I grew up with, it was never a sense of, oh, I'm just gonna grow out of this because I'm this age and people my age don't do this anymore. And I was very aware of that. Like, I think, like, middle school, I was playing, like, that's when, like, Yu-Gi-Oh was really big when I was in middle school. And then I remember freshman year of high school, I actually brought my Yu-Gi-Oh cards to school freshman year because that was something that we did in middle school. Like, everyone used to bring their cards to school. They would play either at lunch or after school or whatever. And I soon realized, like, wow, people don't do that anymore. People don't play Yu-Gi-Oh. People don't play video games. They don't talk about anime. So I really kept that to myself. I was like, I don't want these people to know that I like anime. I don't want these people to know that I play anything other than Call of Duty. And I really kind of, like, was living a lie. Like, a lot of the friends that I had that I hung out with on a day-to-day basis, like, I specifically did not go out of my way to talk to them about stuff like that because I didn't know how they'd feel. I didn't know if they thought I was like, oh, you need to grow up, well, you're still a kid or whatever. So that's why, like, that's like why when RWBY came out, I was already out of high school, and at that point I was just working every day, just living my life, and I, like, injured myself at work, so I was in the house all the time. And then I see this show, and I'm watching it, and I feel like a kid again. Like, I'm like, this is me. Like, this is who I am. Like, this is what I love, and I shouldn't be ashamed of that. And that's why, like, and the bigger thing, too, is, like, I've been with it since it started. I've been with RWBY since the trailers. And it was at that point that I was like, I don't care. I don't care what people think. I'm not going to hinder myself or hinder my excitement or my experience or my enjoyment of something just because someone else doesn't feel the same way, or someone else will look down on me or belittle or make fun of me or whatever. At that point, I was just like, I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna be who I am. High school is over. Like, I don't see 90% of those people anymore. Only people that I see are kind of like my true few. And that was like, and at that point, that's why, like, I'm so expressive now. Like, if I was in high school, I wouldn't even have the balls to cry on camera or to just express myself fully and unapologetically as I would now. And the funny thing about it, and I'm rambling again, I'm sorry, but the funny thing about that is a lot of the people that I went to school with know I have a YouTube channel now, and a lot of them have seen my videos, and they were like, dude, you're the fucking realist, you know, for doing what you love and not caring what people think. And a lot of my family have recently discovered, like my stepsister, she recently discovered she's like, oh, I'm so proud of you. You know, so at the end of the day, it pays to just be who you are and not kind of not live a lie or feel like you have to walk the same path as everybody else just to fit in. You know what I mean? That was just my life. That's just how I was at the time, and I'm so thankful that I never changed who I was. I was just always, I just put on a mask briefly. You know what I mean? I'd go to school and I'd be like, yeah, I like rap music and I like this and I like that, and then I'd go home and I'd listen to like Japanese pop music and play fucking Yu-Gi-Oh for like 5 hours straight, and you know, then play a JRPG or something. But yeah, I don't know. Rambling off to the side, and that's why I identify so much with Weiss. That's why Weiss is my favorite, because it's like, she's doing the exact same thing. She's not doing what she wants. She's doing what she's told. She's doing what other people expect of her. She's putting on a face to kind of, to keep up with appearances. And that's why I love her so much. Like, I love that she's now growing, and she's like, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore. Fuck you guys. Fuck these clueless people in Atlas. I know who I am now. I'm not trying to live a lie. And that's why I love, like, that is why I love Weiss, because I identify so much with her. And my second favorite, aside from Pyrrha obviously being my all-time favorite in terms of a character, I don't relate that much to Pyrrha in terms of, like, personally. The other character that I would relate a lot with would be Jean. Because I got bullied a lot. That's another reason why I kind of kept to myself and I didn't really tell people, hey, I like anime, I like video games, I like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, because I was an easy target for being made fun of or being bullied, mainly severely in high school. Never in elementary, severely in middle school, and then it kind of died off in high school once everyone was just like, you know, trying to be cool and trying to make a name for themselves and shit. So that's another reason why I love Jean so much, because he's like, Volume 1 Jean is like gone, you know what I mean? And like old Arnold, like middle school Arnold, high school Arnold, like that guy's gone. In terms of, I'm a lot more confident, I'm a lot more, like I'm just more, you know, I'm just me, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel like that, like for Jean, he's developed and become someone who he was always destined to be. He just needed that confidence, and that was what Pyrrha gave him. So, yo, what up, Marco? I didn't know you were back already. That was really quick. But yeah, enough about me. Getting back into this, we got, oh, fucking Whitley, dude. Oh my god. I don't think, like, there's anybody in RWBY. Like, I dislike Whitley more than I dislike Jacque. And I know it's no fault of his own. Like, he is the product of his upbringings. He's the product of his parents. Whether it be, I don't know, the wife seems like she's just very dismissive of everything. We haven't even seen her. We don't know her name. We don't know what she feels about all of this. We know very subtle clues, like maybe she's an alcoholic, maybe she's just super depressed and hates her life, and she's just like, yo, go do whatever the fuck you want, I don't care. So the father kind of takes the reins when it comes to raising the kids, or, I don't know, kind of using them to his advantage for, you know, the family name and whatnot. Obviously, it didn't work with Winter, because she was like, fuck this shit, I'm going into the military. He tried to work it out with Weiss, but apparently her time away from Atlas kind of changed her for the better, to where now she's not about just being used and abused. And, you know, Whitley's like, you know, I do whatever I'm told, I'm cool with it, I like I'm very, you know, level-headed with what's going on, and he seems probably, I feel like Whitley will make things worse. Like, you think Papa Schnee's doing bad, like, Whitley's gonna take everything the dad's doing and apply it, like, 10 times more severe and worse they're gonna make 10 times as much money, but at the sake of sacrificing a lot more of their humanity and dignity and compassion to get to reach those goals. So, I really don't like Whitley. Long story short, like, I fucking can't stand him. I despise, like, he's very condescending. He's got a very high opinion of himself and his father, and he looks down on others. Like, I really don't, I don't like people like that in general. So when I see a character, it's like, I know a dime a dozen of people like you that I could literally do the rest of my life with ever associating with, but the fact of every time I see you in the episode, it like makes me sick to my stomach. So what's interesting here is that he actually sees Weiss summon. Now I don't know if this is going to be him like, oh, I kind of have an idea of what you're trying to do, so I'm going to go I'm going to go report back to father and whatever, or if he's just looking at it as, oh, that's cute, she's summoning. I honestly feel like Whitley does have some kind of combat experience. I wouldn't be surprised if they grew up kind of being brought up like that. I know that, like, he sees, like, he's not jealous of Weiss and Winter. He's like, I'm not jealous of your abilities or anything like that, and that's what, you know, they're talking about here. She's like, are you jealous of me, of my abilities, of Winter's? He's like, no, I see it as barbaric. you guys are fighting and doing, like, the hell's wrong, like, that's beneath me. Like, I'm not about that. I'm about letting other people do that, and they can be barbaric, and I can judge them, but at the end of the day, they protect me. You know, like, have some fucking humility, actually have some compassion for other people for once. But, like, I don't feel like he doesn't know how to fight, or he doesn't at least know how to summon. The big reason for that is because he mentioned, he was like, I didn't stop growing while you were away at Beacon. So it's like, what kind of growth have you been doing to where you're very cocky and condescending and confident in yourself? Yeah, and he talked down to Ironwood, like, what? It's run by a fool? He had a slip-up, and on top of that, it was a scheme bigger than anything anyone could have anticipated, you know? I think he's just bad-mouthing because Ironwood's taking precautions that is coming out of the Schnee Dust Company's pocket. He's doing a trade an embargo on dust shipment, which at the end of the day is costing the Schnee Dust Company their bottom line. And, I don't know, from a business perspective, from a business side of things, they don't care about the people that are lost or the potential wars that can happen or conflicts that can happen. They just care about money. So I think that's why that's why the shade was thrown at Ironwood for that. But like I said, I do feel like to some extent, Whitley isn't like, I honestly would not be surprised if I saw like a sibling rivalry right here, like a sibling bout in the future. Don't know based on what context. I really don't know, and I wouldn't want that. You know, I would say it'd be more between these two than Winter, because she's like an adult. You know what I mean? Like, she's straight up like military, like full-fledged huntress, and I think she would just wipe the floor with him. But yeah. Whitley is a master military strategist confirmed. Yeah. I just thought of Spencer Taylor. You're like, Winter, I'm an adult. That just reminded me of the song by The Lonely Island. I forgot what it was. It was like the song like Happy Birthday to the Ground. He's like, I'm an adult. Yeah. He's impotent, has no power. Oh yeah, thrown on the ground. There you go. That song's so funny. I was busting out laughing the first time I heard that song. But yeah, right here too. I thought they were going to throw up a set right here. I honestly thought, like, well, I knew he wasn't going to do anything. He's just like all talk, and he's just all about, like, he knows, like, she's stuck in her room and she's limited in what she can do. And she was like, leave right now. He's like, whatever. Oh, one thing that I do want to mention. Very, 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 very important. I think this could be like a callback. But he mentions when he's at the door, he says, what can one huntsman do that an army could not? And that reminded me of what Ozpin said to Ironwood in Volume 3. He said, a guardian is a symbol of comfort, but an army is a symbol of conflict. I think that, like, is very much applied in the sense that one person can do 10 times more and be so much more effective than what an army can do, in, like, applying it to what happened to Volume 3. An army did a lot worse than what one person could have done if things were in their favor. So I definitely, I called, I was like, oh... I didn't think about it until I rewatched the episode, but I was like, I wonder if, like, and then when you apply that to Whitley's logic, like, that's where you see where his narrow-mindedness comes from, because it's like, you clearly lack any type of experience or wisdom or knowledge to see the benefits in confiding in one person versus an army of just force, of brute force. And I think that's where Ironwood... I think maybe that's just how all people in Atlas think, because that's how Ironwood thought at the beginning when he brought his army there. He was like, yo, we just go to wherever these people are, we destroy them, we destroy everything, and, you know, we don't have to worry about it. And then they were like, no, we can't do that. We have to be tactful, we have to be delicate, we can't risk the spread of panic. And apparently that's Ozpin's, like, mantra. That's Ozpin's I don't know, that's just like his primary concern is, like, do not panic, do not panic, do not panic, otherwise we're fucked. And again, I don't know if that's the mindset of just people in Atlas in general, or just people who feel like power and status is all that matters. But yeah, yeah, he's in an echo chamber. Yeah, Dan, he's definitely in an echo chamber. He's just like, he thinks the same way everybody else. I feel like Atlas is like a fucking hive mind at the end of the day, honestly. Like, not one person could sympathize or empathize with how Weiss was feeling with what she was saying, and not boil it down to, oh, she's just crazy. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She needs to be locked up. It's like, don't you think you guys, like, I don't know. Atlas has definitely got their fucking, they got their nose so high in the fucking clouds, it's ridiculous. That's Ozpin's ninja way. That's his Nindo. That's awesome. Yeah, they can't see the forest for the trees, I guess is the best way to look at it. But that was great. Like, she just slammed the door in his face. That was awesome. I love that moment. And then here, oh, hold on. And then here we see her resume her training. Ah, hold on. We see her resume her training, and this is where, like, I was like, obviously it's gonna happen. Like, she's got the glyph on the ground. So apparently the picture in her room was a clear reference. Like, we saw that in the at the end of the first episode, when she's in her room at the very end, when Klein comes into her room, and I mentioned that. I was like, oh, she has the picture in her room. For those of you who don't know, she actually fought that summon that she makes was a Grimm that she fought in her White trailer, but it was more expressed in the manga, which is it's an official manga, the RWBY manga. She had to fight that iron statue in order to prove to her dad that she can go to Beacon. That's kind of like the more in-depth layer of that trailer, and how it all kind of breaks down and boils down. The manga is canon, though, so Miles and Carrie already confirmed that the manga is canon, so that was very much like a possessive Grimm. It was a Grimm that was possessing the armor, and from what Winter mentioned, when, like, you summon the things that you kill, so she was applying, like, the armored knight that she was fighting and everything like that, and it would make sense, too, that it would be an armored knight, because you see those all over their house. Like, you see statues of them, you see pictures of them, so I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, hey, bring in one of those suits of armor, and we'll meld a Grimm into it, and then she'll fight it. Yeah, the manga hit hard, and the manga also confirms that she got that scar during that fight. So that's another thing, too. Yeah, the Geist, the Poltergeist Grimm that we saw in the first episode that Team RWBY was fighting. It's like that, but it's not exactly like that. It's a Grimm that possesses things. But the Grimm that we saw in the first episode and this one and the Armored Knight are two separate types. They both possess things, but they're not both Geist Grimm. So, but yes, it's very much like the Geist Grimm. But yeah, fucking Klein, my boy. He comes in. I love the smirk that they gave her. Like, very smug, like, yo, I got, like, people are sleeping on me right now. Like, I definitely have a plan. Nobody knows about it. And another thing that I'll mention, too, that I completely forgot to mention initially, was that Whitley went to Weiss to mention to her, like, hey, I had a favor that I was going to offer you. Father's taking me into town to meet some businessmen, and he wanted to pick her up something or whatnot. But the big thing of the big picture here is that her dad and Whitley aren't going to be around. So I feel like this is the perfect opportunity for her to kind of make her getaway, like just escape on her own. I don't know how easy that's going to be. She even broke her windows, so it's kind of like that's her exit point. And immediately after that, she summons, which fucking awesome. Like, oh my god, it looks so fucking good. And it looks a lot smaller than the Grimm that she fought in her... Like, the trailer one looked a lot bigger. Like, the trailer armor looked a lot bigger. But maybe it's just scaled a lot better or something. I don't know. It could be the animation, too, that just makes it look a lot different. But she's got her summon now. fully fledged, like, ready to serve her, which is incredible. I've seen so many awesome fan arts on top of that. But it seems like she's going to make her escape, and she needs Klein to... Klein's probably going to cover for her, more than anything. She was like, Klein, I need a favor. And he's just like, yo, say no more, I got you. Right here. Yeah, he's like, I got you. So, and like, just based on speculations and the fact that I've mentioned this numerous times in the past, I do feel like she's going to break out. I don't know if that means she's going to find... Because it's like, where are you going to go? Like, how are you going to leave Atlas? Like, that's the big... Like, you're stuck on the top of the world. You're literally on the continent of Solitas, which is a Latin derivative for solitude. Like, they're isolated from the rest of the world. You have a dust embargo, so I don't know if people can just come and go as they please. So I don't know if she's going to go looking for Ironwood to help her, like, escape, or if she's going to look for her sister to help her escape, or if her summon's just going to, like, carry her across the water and all that stuff, or whatever. But, I'm pretty sure a getaway is what she's planning. Yeah, Cheese Master Gus. Yeah, I'm wearing the Cheese Master Gus shirt. I got this I bought this during RT Extra Life. Good eye. Someone noticed that. I don't know if anyone else mentioned it, but yeah, I just saw your comment. Summon a Nevermore and just fly away. Well, she didn't kill that giant Nevermore. It was actually RWBY that did, so I don't know if she'd be able to summon that. Dragon Slayer, you're very welcome for the Xbox One code. I hope you enjoy it. And thank you very much for joining the stream, all of you guys. I'm at 473 people. Thank you guys so much. Has Weiss killed a Nevermore? We know she's killed Beowulfs and stuff like that. I honestly don't think it really matters what kind of Grimm she's killed. I think this summon just what her ability to summon does is just signifies her signature summon. Like we've seen Winter summon like those little birds, which I'm assuming those were like baby Nevermores or whatever, and then she summoned the giant Beowulf. But I'm pretty sure she has a summon that's just unique to her, or maybe an exclusive summon that she's fought in the past that only she has access to resummon back. I think that's what we should probably take away a lot more. I highly doubt she's just... Well, no, that's a lie, because she did summon the Borbatusk. She did summon the Borbatusk at the, during the party. So, shit, she could have a repertoire of summons at this point. Maybe the Knight is the strongest of the bunch, though. Imagine she kills the dragon. Like, just imagine any Grimm and just think to yourself, Weiss can potentially summon that down the road. That would be fucking OP as fuck. We don't know the extent of how long it lasts or anything like that, or its durability in combat, but just the fact of knowing that she could just summon something from the fucking ether is incredible. Kevin. Yeah. Leah W. I mentioned that too. I'm so proud of Weiss, like how far she's come. Like she actually, like Volume 1 Weiss was such a fucking bitch, dude. Like I went back and watched Volume 1 a couple weeks ago, and I was just like, oh, I'm so glad I know what you turn into. I'm so glad I know what you become, because, oh my gosh, like 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago, starting Volume 4, oh my god, like she just needed to lighten the fuck up, you know what I mean? And it was just like she would do that, and then she would relapse, and then she would do that, and then she would relapse. And now that she's back home, it's like she's probably dying to just be back in Vale and be back with like normal people who are caring and people that she cares about. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like she grew up around people like this, so I can understand completely why she was the way she was. Utterly, like, completely and utterly understand why she is the way she was when she went to Beacon. Nolan, thank you very much for the support, dude. Yeah, I wonder how she'll... Oh, man, I can't even imagine if any... Oh, my God. I really hope these characters see each other, you know what I mean? I really hope some of these characters don't go off and then, like, we just never see them again. Like, whatever's going to happen between Team Ranger, if something happens to one of those characters, it's going to be devastating when other characters who aren't in the know find out. You know what I mean? Like, or even Crow, like, what's Tai going to think? What's Yang going to think? You know? It's super, I don't know, it's super depressing to linger and think about, but you definitely have to think about it. And then right here, we got the Blake moment. So like I said, we get a bit of everyone from Team RWBY, which is fucking awesome. We got the insight of who this person actually was, this new Faunus spy. And I will say, though, I don't mean to take away from this scene at all, but I will say I love the way Menagerie looks at night. I just love overall, like, how the whole setting takes place, like how it just looks in general. Like, it looks so nice. The big thing that I want to point out is the water. Like when Ilya walks on the water and then Blake follows her, just the water physics. Like, you see the ripples in the water, you see the water actually, the globules actually come off of the water based on the physics of her stepping into it. The moonlight in the background, Blake like jumping down, you see like the lights of all the houses, and it just looks really peaceful and nice. I had to take a moment to just appreciate the fact that, holy fuck, like, everything's hectic and haphazard and happening all at once. You got like Sun and Blake giving chase, but I wanted to take the time and be like, I really like how a lot of the things in the background look and flow really well. Globules, yeah, I the word globules mean, like, it's so funny to me because the first time I ever heard that word was actually from the Rooster Teeth podcast when they were talking, when Gavin was like, we're the perfect size for water. And then they were like, in relation to what? He was like, a whale. And it was like, I just rewatched the podcast highlight for that, like, I think a couple days ago. And that's like one of the funniest podcasts in terms of like trying to get in the mind of Gavin Free. But yeah, that's the first time I ever heard the word globule, and I had to use it. Yeah, the podcast in the truck. But yeah, people are dying and murder. Yeah, people are just dying left and right, and there's like a greater threat going on, and I take time to appreciate a little puddle on the rooftop. Oh man, Gavin or Google. But yeah, like I said, just wanted to take a moment to just say I really appreciate how everything just kind of comes together in the backdrop and in the background while we're applying, like we're focusing on the characters, or we're focusing on this mysterious woman, Blake and Sun, but I definitely appreciate a lot of like the scenery more than anything, especially the water physics. Like, we see them all the time. The dynamic water effects are really great in the show. So yeah, just wanted to mention that really quick. Her weapon is fucking awesome, by the way. It's like a combination of like a like, what's it called? I don't want to call it a lance, but is it like a joust? Like those things that those jousters use whenever you go to like the King's Fair or the Knight's Fair or whatever, and like they're running on horses and they're jousting each other. I think that's what it's called. It's like a combination of that, a gun, and like a whip, like a lightning whip. So it's like a bunch of different fucking things, which is pretty cool. And it's like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, it's just something you wouldn't expect. Like, I thought she was just gonna stab them with it, and then it turned into a whip, which was really cool to see. Yeah, a jousting lance. There you go. Oh, yeah! And someone mentioned it kind of works like a chameleon tongue. I'm sorry if that was really sensitive for the mic, too, if I just, like, hurt a lot of your ears, but someone mentioned that, too. Like, her hair, like, how it, like, curls up at the bottom, that could be, like, a chameleon tail. And the fact, obviously, her skin changes color based on, it seems like more of her emotions than her surroundings. That could be another thing that could allude to the whole chameleon aspect. And then the weapon kind of curls out and comes back in like a chameleon's tail. I mean, I'm sorry, the tongue. A chameleon's tongue. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, like, just get super excited all at once. Like, the mic is super sensitive, so... yeah, it's a lance whip at this point. So, one thing that I will go back to, briefly, let me try to see if I can find the clip, the screenshot. This one right here. So, first off, you're on Menagerie, which I'm assuming is 100% Faunus. It wouldn't make sense to use a camouflage like that, because Faunus can see... all Faunus have night vision. So, I realized that. I'm like, what's the point of even hiding like that? You know what I mean? I can understand maybe, so, I don't know, if you're not paying attention or you're not trying to look out there, you won't see her. But I was like, huh, you do realize that they'll be able to see you in the dark. That's probably why they pinpointed her out so quickly before she, like, ran off. I was just wondering that. I was like, you do realize they can probably still see you. So, I don't know. I understand why they did this, for the sake of, okay, you're a fawn, she's a chameleon, and it obviously transitions with the different types of camo skin that she decides to put on. But I can understand that it was for the reveal more than anything. Yeah, and the mask too, which it's like, well, I understand that's the whole white fang motif going on. So let me try to get back to where I was. Okay, so this is where we were at. And then she's trying to fight off, like, Blake and Sun. So, let me ask you guys this, because I'm kind of confused. The scroll that she had, that they were trying to get their hands on, that they were trying to get from her, was that Ilya's scroll, or was that Sun's scroll that Blake threw off into the forest, that I'm assuming he either went and got, or Ilya grabbed it? That was the only thing that I was confused of. I would say it's Ilya's scroll, because Sun mentions, like, oh, grab the scroll. It looks like it seems important to this one. So I'm willing to say that it was Ilya's scroll, but I'm not entirely sure. Ugh. We have a divide here. Some people are saying it's Sun's, some people think it's Sun, some people think it's Ilya's. The world will never know. Another question we need to ask is if the scroll even fucking works. Yeah, I'm based on how Sun worded it, I would say that it was Ilya's scroll. The only reason why I have a bit of confusion is because I know Sun had a picture on there. And I could understand if Ilya grabbed his scroll to kind of keep her from finding out who it was, whether it was her or whether it was whatever. But then also she was like, at the end she was like, give me the scroll, and she's like, no. So maybe it was Ilya's, because then, like I said, Sun mentions grab the scroll. It seems like it's someone finds it important. So it might have. I'm willing to bet that it was Ilya's. That maybe I was just confusing that with, you know, whatever. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Like, if she was the one that he took the picture of, and she's already exposed herself, what's the point of wanting the scroll back? You know? Yeah. Cameron S. He said, "We need to get Chibi Jean. He's great at destroying scrolls." Oh my god. Oh my goodness. You just gave me the perfect idea for a video short that I'm going to make, and I'm going to credit you for it if I end up making it. Oh my god. That is fucking awesome, dude. Wow. Cameron S. I'm absolutely going to credit you for this video if I end up making it. Yeah, he did a fucking, like, he, like, stepped on it, he freaking dropped it, and he stepped up. Well, first off, he smacked it out of Weiss's hand, which is already fucked up, and then he's just, like, going to freaking A-Town stomping the shit out of it. Oh, I was not expecting that. That was awesome. Oh, that is awesome. But yeah, so, like, this whole time, like, she's trying to stop them. And this right here shows, like, Sun's semblance has kind of evolved even more. At this point, we know that he can utilize up to 4 summons, which I think in the, I think it was Chapter 3, the fight with the Sea Dragon, he only summoned 3. So, like, at this point, it just shows that he's evolved his semblance, whether it be him training with it more or using it more over time. He can summon up to 4, and I think that lasted probably like 5-10 seconds maybe. But it kind of sucks too, because I think the more he summons, the more he uses up his aura. Because after he ended up dispersing all of them, he got struck in the chest. But for him to get struck in the chest would mean that his aura had to have depleted. So it's very risky for him to use that many immediately, kind of like just throwing all of his cards out like that at once and then being left defenseless after the fact. Which was like ridiculous. So then we find out that it is Sister Ilya, which is weird because the Faunus mentioned that Sister Ilya would be delighted if Blake ever decided to rejoin the White Fang. Why, A, she's spying on Blake, and B, why she's so aggressive with everything, and then just leaves at the end of it. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, why? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, you just attack Sun and then just leave, you know? Maybe she did that to kind of prove to Blake, like, I'm being serious, give me the scroll. I'm surprised Blake held her ground and she was like, no. Because it's like, she could just attack Sun again and you're over here just like, I don't know. But I'm wondering the relationship between them two as well. Given the fact that Adam was Blake's mentor, I'm wondering where Ilya came in. Or where Ilya stood in terms of her relationship with Blake, in terms of her status in the White Fang, her relation to Adam, both of them being a part of the White Fang, and all this other stuff. And she mentions you never should have come back. It's like she's back in Menagerie. She's not back with the White Fang, so I'm wondering why the hostility there too. No, Ilya does not have silver eyes. Those aren't so like no. They're not silver eyes. Somebody mentioned too, they were like, I saw a few silver-eyed people in the ball during like the after party at, you know, during the after party of Weiss's concert, and I was like, no. I'm willing to chalk it up to anything but silver eyes, because silver eyes are super rare, and I highly doubt we'll see anybody else with them for a very, 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 very long time, aside from RWBY and Summer Rose. I'm willing to chalk those up to being gray eyes before silver, even though they're very close on the spectrum. Yeah, they look very pale purple. I won't say lilac, like a lot lighter than that. Arnold has silver eyes. Now I have shit brown eyes. That's the color preference that I decide to go with when I describe my eye color. But yeah, just curious about her. Like, why the fuck she decided to attack Sun randomly, out of nowhere. Like, Sun's just talking, and she's like, shut up, stop talking, and she strikes him. Super deadly, just because, A, it's dust infused with electricity, and B, the pointer on that thing is super sharp, and it just pierces him because he has no aura. So, I hope that's not close to his heart, or like a lung or something. I hope it's just like a flesh wound, though it did show blood on his shirt. So, it's just stressful for me, because now I have another character to worry about. And I will mention that she does change color again. This color matches the background a lot better. Like, the blue for the sky, the green for, like, the grass. But it seems like her color change, or her skin change, is based on her emotions. Like, she was red, she was, like, really aggressive, and she attacked him, so she was red here. And then she kind of retracts and goes into this, and she was like, you shouldn't have come back, and she seems very, what's the word, I don't know, she just seemed very, like, regretful for the fact that Blake was back there, Just a very submissive kind of response to give, and then she just disappeared. So I'm assuming her skin changes based on her current emotional state. Hey, what's up, Brandon? Yeah, that's what I just mentioned. Her skin changes definitely based on her emotions. Dude, are you stoked for Neo, the demo that comes out tomorrow? The electricity would have probably damaged his heart or something else. Yeah, I don't think that it would be that, like, that technical. Like, I understand that there's electrical dust, but I don't know if it would really get to the point of, like, he would need to be, like, he would need a defib to kind of come back, you know? Or it sets his heart, like, what's it called? Like an arrhythmic. I forgot what it's called when you go into, when you need like a defib. Like, your heart goes into a particular state. But yeah, I don't know if it's really that technical for Rooster Teeth to be like, okay, his heart was shocked, now he needs to be, like, resuscitated, like, his heart needs to be defibbed, or whatever. But no, I'm pretty sure the dust just, like, it's the immediate shock, and then the pierce is probably what did the damage more than anything. No, it's not cardiac arrest. It's what, like, your heart is on a different rhythm than what it's supposed to be when it gets shocked. I forgot what it's called, though. I took EMT in high school, and I forgot most of that shit. But I think it's called tachycardia. I think that's the state that your heart's in when something externally causes your heartbeat to change rhythm. I think it's called tachycardia. Something like that. But yeah, so Sun's kind of screwed, and I'm super stressed out for him too, because it's like, alright, we already had to deal with Crow, now we have to deal with Sun, and apparently, based on the end of the episode, we got to deal with something happening to somebody on Team Ranger, being either Nora or Ren, I'm assuming. Arrhythmia, there you go. Like I said, I haven't taken EMT. I originally wanted to be an EMT, by the way, when I was in high school. Freshman years when I put some thought into it. Sophomore years when I applied it. I wanted to be an EMT after my dad died. My dad died when I was a freshman, so I kind of wanted to transition into a profession to kind of save lives, you know, and like, I took first responder, I took first aid. I'm first aid certified still, so at least, you know, I apply that much. I took EMT. I took an EMT course, class course in high school. I took Latin. That's why I took Latin too. Latin derivatives. My mother was also. My mother's a nurse, and my sister's a CNA. So the medical field is something that kind of is in our family, or at least my mom's side. My dad's side of the family, like my aunts are like real estates and stuff like that. So. I don't know, I kind of had that goal during high school because, you know, losing a loved one, it was the first time I ever lost, like, a loved one, so I had the mindset of, like, if I could help prevent that for other people, that'd be great, and I went through all those courses, and then after I graduated high school, life kind of just took a different path, and, you know, things ended up changing. But that's originally what I wanted to be. It was between being an EMT. Like, this is like childhood dreams too, like my childhood ambitions. Like, when I was a kid, I originally wanted to be, and my mother will tell anybody this, I wanted to be the Red Ranger from Power Rangers. Like, she still remembers when I used to tell people that when I was like a kid. I used to be like, I want to be the Red Power Ranger. And then I wanted to be a garbage man. And then when I got older, like high school age, after my dad died, I wanted to be a lifeguard. And I almost took a lifeguarding course, but because I took the EMT course, I was like, I don't want to be a lifeguard. And my friend Isaac ended up being a lifeguard, and he was like, yeah, you just stand in the sun for like hours, you get sunburn and everything like that, and at the end of the day, no one drowns. And then psychology was something that I was really taken of during high school. Mainly, and I think I like psychology so much because I just love... I don't love it. Like Gus mentions it all the time on podcasts. Like he's fascinated by airplane disasters, like stuff that happens that makes a plane crash. Like obviously it's tragic and it's very sad, like to hear like people die, but he's very fascinated to like what minor like what minor adjustment caused such a massive catastrophe. And for me, psychology for me, it's like I'm fascinated by what makes someone different, like go off the path. Like I think that's why I'm so attracted to, not like sexually attracted, but just naturally attracted to characters like Tyrion, who are just fucking batshit crazy, off the wall, insane. I think that stems back to like my personal interest in psychology of, I know what's going on in my head, and I'm pretty sure my roommate's just as normal as I am, and the guy next door is just as normal as I am, but what causes someone who has the same kind of advantages in life or disadvantages in life as me to not be all there in the head? You know, I think that's what's super fucking fascinating about psychology, is that like everyone's mind is like their own perception, and I think it's super fucking crazy to like when you actually try to think about it like that. But I think at the end of the day, that's what makes like mental perception of myself and other people so fascinating, to where I wanted to consider being a psychologist. Yeah. L was really great, and that's why I like a lot of psychological anime like Death Note. Death Note's one of them. Parasite's a really good one. Psycho-Pass is one of my all-time favorites. The psychological thrill of that. Alan Wake is one of my favorite video games because it is literally a psychological thriller, and it's a really good exclusive that I played on the 360. I got all the achievements on the main game and the writer and the Signal DLC, which are really great. I really hope they make Alan Wake 2, because now I have an Xbox One and I really want to play that. And Mirai Nikki's another good psychological one that I really enjoy. Oh, before anything else, thank you guys. We just passed 500 viewers on the stream. Thank you guys very, very much for the support. I hope I'm not boring you guys. We're 2 hours in. We have one more scene to make it through, so I hope you guys are looking forward to it, and I hope I'm not rambling too much. This is going to be really interesting for people who watch the past broadcast, but wrapping up Blake's moment right here, like I mentioned, the whole son thing. What's interesting here is that she mentions when like she's running to him, she's like, son, she's like, no, 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 not again, please. Like, not again. I think what she meant by that is like she's losing someone else that she cares about. Like she lost Adam. Like she lost Adam in a different way, but it seems like now she might lose Son in a more severe way, like actually dying. Or maybe she took that as like someone she couldn't protect. Like it's happening again, like it happened with Yang. She couldn't do anything to stop Yang from getting hurt, and now it's happening again to Adam. I'm sorry, it's happening again to Son. So I feel like shit's just crazy for Blake, because it's like, to her, she feels like she has to do everything herself. Like, especially in Volume 2, when she was like, I'm the only one that can stop Torchwick. I'm the only one that can stop the White Fang. And she wasn't sleeping, she wasn't eating, she wasn't enjoying herself, enjoying life. She was just super high-strung and stressed. And it took Yang to be like, look, you're gonna run yourself ragged, you're gonna, like, end up killing yourself from all of the, you know, from exhaustion, essentially. And, I don't know, Blake just has too much on her plate, and she's beating herself up way too much, and taking a lot of the blame personally for what happened. Like, you didn't cut off Yang's arm, Adam did. You know what I mean? You could kind of think that you did that by proxy, but at the end of the day, he chose to do that, and, you know, it's fucked up, but, you know, you have to understand that, you know what I mean? Same thing here, like, she probably thinks she caused Adam to get hurt because of her involvement with Ilya, whatever that might be. So, you know what I mean? Like, she beats herself up way too much, and I really feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe her coming back home was a good thing, but this is just going to relapse if she feels like every little thing she does is her fault as a result of trying to do what's right. Yeah. Son, not Adam. Son, not Adam. I'm sorry. I'm getting them mixed up now for some damn reason. Nice. But yeah, I really hope things turn around for her, just because I don't want her to be like super fucking high stress and she feels like everything she's doing is just making things worse. Or maybe she just needs a familiar face. Like, I understand Son's obviously a familiar face, but he's kind of injured now. The funny thing that I'll mention that somebody, I think it was on the YouTube comments of this episode, someone mentioned, like, now we're gonna see Kali nurse Son back to health. Like, because everyone, like, the big thing in the community whenever Kali is around is, like, she's, like, attracted to Son, and she always wants to hear about him and talk about him and or talk to him, and she likes him and everything, and now, like, he's injured, and she's probably going to be the one to help heal him and whatnot, or take care of him while he's healing up. So that's going to be really fun. Yeah, the cougar, the MILF. But yeah, so we got this moment, and now wrapping up, we have Team Ranger, which is super stressful. So, I will say this though. Stick around. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to give you guys a preview of what you guys can look forward to in tomorrow's episode. But yeah, this is super stressful, because if Kuro dies, I am going to be distraught. I don't know what I'm going to be. Like, I'm saying all this stuff right now, but my words probably won't even match my action if he literally dies. So, I really hope Rooster Teeth doesn't take the route of, like, we know this is really hurtful on you guys, but this is going to help our characters grow. This is like, if Kuro dies, just imagine the implications of that for a second. If Kuro dies, number one, you wasted the opportunity for him to use his fucking scythe, which I'll be scorned by that for all time. Two, who's going to take over this Grandmaster plan for Ozpin? No one knows Ozpin still exists in a different form. Kuro is literally like his right-hand man and knows about a lot of the stuff that's happening. Third, if Kuro dies, that's going to be a massive hit to RWBY's, like, to RWBY, because when you look at it at the end of the day, she's the reason why he got hurt. You know? You wouldn't tell her that, and you wouldn't be like, RWBY, you're the reason why your uncle's dead, because that's fucked up, you know what I mean? But, like, objectively, had Kuro not been worrying about RWBY, had RWBY listened to Kuro to back off, they would be fine. And I feel like, again, it might have just been, I guess you could really blame Kuro's Semblance, because I feel like Kuro's Semblance is what caused that whole thing to happen, which, again, that's not his fault, it's a natural state of his being. If not for her stubbornness and not listening, maybe things would have turned out a bit differently. But then again, you never know, because if it wasn't for her getting in that situation, she wouldn't have cut his tail off, and Tyrion might have stuck around a lot longer, you know what I mean? We don't know the outcome of that. We don't have, like, the whole butterfly effect dynamic going on of what if or what could be. But yeah, like, now it's very dire. Like, he can't even walk. His situation's getting worse. He's coughing up the poison, so it seems like it's coursing through his body. And, I don't know. I like I said, I care for Kuro a lot. The first time I ever really, like, I loved Kuro, or I had this image built up in my head of Kuro during Volume 1. And it was because of Monty. So I should have screen capped the tweet, but I didn't think I'd be talking about this. But there was a day, I think this was right before Volume 1 ended. Monty was tweeting, like, Monty was responding to people's tweets. He was like, yeah, I'm just gonna, like, if you have any questions for me that aren't spoilers, I'll answer them. And my question that I asked him was, if you could have any weapon in the RWBY world, like in the show of RWBY, whose would it be? Mind you, we're in Volume 1. He says, Crow's weapon. This fucking guy says Crow's weapon. And that literally set me off. I was like... And the only time we heard of Crow was in the first episode when RWBY mentions, like, you know, she learned how to use her scythe from Crow, and that's her uncle at Signal, and he taught her everything she knows and all that stuff. And I'm just thinking, if he taught RWBY everything she knows, he must be like a fucking god at like scythe wielding. And on top of that, the creator of the show, that's his weapon of choice that he would choose. So at that point, I had this affinity with Crow ever since because of that tweet. And like ever since then, like I've had this affinity for Crow even before we ever saw him. And now to have that and just be like, this character might die, it's very heartbreaking. It's very depressing to kind of think about, and it's kind of stressing me out. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not stressed out to the point of like I'm losing sleep or I'm not eating, but it's like every week when I gotta sit down and watch the next episode, I get high strung. I get butterfly feel. I get that butterfly feeling in my stomach. I don't know what's gonna happen. Volume 3 was so bad. I was like breaking down before the finale episode, before I even watched the finale episode, you know. So, it's you know, it's just something that I really hope doesn't happen. At least not for a long time. I'm not going to sit here and say Crow can never die, or any of these characters cannot die, but it's like, if their purpose hasn't been met, like if I feel like there was a lot more to them that we didn't get, it almost feels like the character is kind of like they're, I don't know. It's like they were cut short, you know what I mean? In terms of, like, Pyrrha, like, I would have loved for her to still be around, but I feel like, at her core, as a character, for what we got of her, I feel like that was her destiny, you know what I mean? Like, to go out with a bang, to do the best she could, and, you know, to not settle for, you know, just letting evil prevail, or you know, let him get away with anything, get away with whatever. You know, honestly, characters really live on forever. Like, I think it's a quote, and it's, you're not defined by how you live, you're defined by how you die. I think that is a lot better suited for, like, these characters. Like, Pyrrha, magnificent character as a whole, but how she died just solidified that for me. You know, and Crow, if he ends up dying, he died protecting his family. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't want that to happen, but I would prefer for him to just live out the show a lot longer, to kind of see this Grandmaster plan to fruition, get more backstory on him, figure out his whole ordeal with his sister, and, you know, all the missions that he goes on for Ozpin, and, you know, the dynamic if he finds out Ozpin's alive. And, you know, like, because who's gonna lead this crusade, you know, against Salem if he's dead? He's the one taking over for Ozpin, you know? Unholy scream memes. Well, I guess Pyrrha lives on in Chibi as well, so at least we have that to look forward to. And we have the RWBY game, which I always play as her just because... that's another thing that I'm just like, oh, I still got Pyrrha back. But yeah, this is just a stressful situation right here. And then we get to the, like, an even more high-strung scenario. So we have these different areas. So Higanbanu is where they were coming from. You got Mistral and Kuro Yuri to the side, and then, I'm sorry, you have Mistral and Kuchinashi, which Kuchinashi was mentioned in the Mistral world of Remnant. It was mentioned as one of the wayward villages that are outside of the government's eye, or government's influence. So that's like one of the villages that are probably has like bandits and mercenaries and assassins and just shitty people. And then you have Kuro Yuri, which is off to the side and has a cross through it. And at this point, they need to make a choice, because if they go through the mountain, they have to go through the mountains to get to Mistral. And for some reason, Ren doesn't want to go through Kuro Yuri. He says that it was a village that was destroyed years ago. I'm willing to believe that it... I mentioned it in my reaction too, but it's like... It seems like we're getting more of Ren backstory this volume. At least towards the latter half. You know, he has a lot of insight on Mistral as a whole. He has just a lot of insight when it comes to particular places and information on certain... Like, he knew about Oni Yuri. He knew about, Higanbana being a well-populated city with a popular inn. And, like, he just has, like, the lay of the land really well known, which would make me think that he was born here. And for him to know that Kuro Yuri got destroyed years ago would make me believe, well, is that your village that was destroyed? Because we know that you don't have a family, you don't have a home, and it seems like, based on context clues, that could very well be your destroyed village that you just don't want to go back and revisit and relive. So that's something that's going on right now, and it seems like things are getting desperate because they need to find Crow help. They need to make a choice, but they're willing to separate, and that's something that can't really be something that's good. And then here too, like, you see Ren, like, he's more emotional than we've ever seen, and I just think, again, it's based on the fact that Kuro Yuri was his home, and it's even crossed out, like, nope, don't go here, this place is destroyed, it's not Kuro Yuri anymore. D&D rule number 1, don't split the party. What's super odd is that Nora was like, we don't have time for safe. And it's like, you do realize if you guys aren't saved, you guys are just all going to end up dying, right? So, I understand it's just a matter of speed and just trying to get help in the fastest way possible. But you're sacrificing a priority, which is like, well, if you guys die before you get help, then that kind of defeats the purpose of going through all of this. And they decide to split up, and it seems like, I don't know, I guess it seems like the best thing. Again, it's just odd that Ren would be willing to, if Kuro Yuri is his home, it'd be odd for Ren to kind of leave that side of things with Jean and RWBY with basically an impaired, like a handicapped freaking bad luck charm. Like, Crow is injured, he's out of commission, and he's kind of like a source of bad fortune for anyone who's around him. On top of the fact they're going to be going to Kuro Yuri, which, if it is destroyed, I'm assuming it's infested with Grimm or bandits or worse. And that just doesn't spell anything optimistic for RWBY and Jean. On top of the fact, if that is his village, you would think Ren would have the best knowledge of how to make it through there and how to get through the situation in the best way possible for all of them. You know? Sure, it's a longer route, but it's, I don't know, it could be safer. I don't know. Elena, I'm streaming today because I've had a really bad sleep schedule the past couple of days, so I haven't been able to stream the live stream discussion this whole week. So I'm doing it today because the next episode comes out tomorrow, which I'll be doing the live stream discussion for Chapter 10 on Sunday for you guys. Oh, and for any of you guys who are wondering, because I did see someone mention it in the chat, I'm going to be uploading my RWBY Grimm Eclipse stream, the full playthrough, next week. So if any of you guys missed that, don't feel bad. You guys will be able to get it on my channel in the future. What time is it here? PM? It is 9:46 PM where I live. But yeah, I honestly think it... well, yeah, that's true too. I can see... Maybe Ren wouldn't want his emotions to be flared up for Grimm to kind of hone in on them. if he just chose not to go to Kuro Yuri, if that, because that is his home or whatever. But I'm just very scared because this dude, the last time a character died, it was when everyone was split up from everyone. Ren and Nora were injured. Jean, Pyrrha separated herself from Jean, and I don't think Jean could have really done anything to prevent her from going to fight Cinder anyway, based on his own willpower or strength to stop her. And, the last time, Volume 3, Yang lost her arm, and Pyrrha died, and it was because everyone was separated and no one had anyone to fall back on to help them. I mean, Ren has Nora, which I'm really thankful for, but I don't know. I really hope that, I don't know. I don't know if they would do that. I really don't know if Rooster Teeth would give us a back-to-back volume where it's we got really bad casualties last volume, and it's going to happen again this volume. And even if it's one character, that's all it... I don't know. I'm worried more for Ren and Nora. I'm not too worried for Jean and RWBY. Number one, RWBY has the fucking thickest of plot armor. The fucking thickest of plot armor I've ever seen in my life. And Jean is with her, and I still feel like to some extent he's very useful in terms of the fact that we haven't seen his semblance, and maybe that can come through and help them if they do run into trouble. Ren and Nora is based solely on the fact that it's just them two, and I don't know, it feels too good to be true that they're just going to make it out of here scot-free and nothing's bad's going to happen. Oh my god, oh my fucking god. Someone just said no more redheads dying, and it's just that's the red flag right there. I'm just saying, every character every character of significance that has died has been a redhead. Pyrrha, Penny, Torchwick, and it seems like the red flags are between Ren and Nora. No fucking way, dude. No way. I'm not gonna linger on this. Fuck this shit. The one thing that I will say, though, is it seems maybe Raven can help to some extent, and I will explain this too, because I did touch up on this a little bit during the live stream discussion for Chapter 8. But so Crow and Raven are siblings. They're twins, actually. So they're both twins. I'm assuming they can both turn into birds. I'm assuming that's more of a tribal thing. Maybe that's a rite of passage for their tribe versus a semblance, because we know Crow's semblance is bad luck. If they're both siblings, if they're both twins, I would assume they both have a parallel semblance. So maybe Raven's could be good luck. Because if Crow always brings misfortune to himself and those around him, how would he ever manage to be on a team with other people and not cause misfortune? Unless Raven's semblance is good luck while his is bad luck, and they neutralize each other's semblances, so that way they are basically normal around other people, a la their team. I mentioned it in my last live stream discussion, but that could also be a reason why Crow kind of is AWOL. He goes on his own when he goes out on missions, because he doesn't want to get other people involved with his semblance. And I can only imagine that Raven would be the good luck that Crow needs right now to save his ass. And maybe I think she is around, because when they were at the campfire and RWBY was like, do you have anything else to tell us? A bird showed up. I would be willing to bet that bird was Raven, waiting for him to, reveal more information, and he was like, not tonight. So, I really hope Raven's nearby. To save her brother, hopefully. I love that idea, Lucky Charm with Unlucky Charm. You said Lucky Charm. I literally bought some Lucky Charms the other day, the cereal, and I thought that's what you were talking about at first. Keep Jean away from fire. Jesus Christ. But yeah, so it seems like things are winding to... And we have 3 fucking episodes left. 3 episodes. 3 episodes. And... I hate to say that, too. 3 fucking episodes left. 10, 11, and then the finale. And right there, too, that bromance hug right there. Especially since Jean hugged him from above the shoulders. Was just like, I love you. That's just another, like, I really hope you guys see each other again. I really do. And then RWBY mentions, like, they'll be alright. And he's like, you don't know that. Oh, God. I don't know how I'm going to turn out after this volume. Fuck off. And then the icing on the fucking cake. This thing right here. So, I'm willing to agree and bet that this is the foot of a Grimm. I say that a little bit more confidently now than I did during chapter 2 when we first saw it, because when we first saw it, it seemed to be like a sign, like a call sign, like a we're the ones who did this kind of thing, like a brand almost. But that wouldn't make fucking sense. Like, why would bandits go around being like, oh, if anyone comes through here, they know who did this? I'm really willing to believe and bet that it is a Grimm. Ren mentioned that a Grimm destroyed Oni Yuri. He was like, you know, Jean was like, what happened to this place? He was like, what always happens? And he was like, Grimm. And then Ren said, not just anyone. And RWBY is like, one? Implying that one Grimm destroyed the entire population of that village. Which is why it was never fully realized. I think it would be cool to see a Minotaur Grimm. Why I say that, a big one too, because that's a giant fucking footprint. You have RWBY and Jean's footprints there as something to scale. And what makes it so much like what makes me really think that it is, because it's very distinct. If this was let's just say this was a bandit branding. Like, what's with the little corner chip at the top? Like, it has like a slant, like a V kind of like divot. And then you have like the little slashes at the end on the side. It's like, that seems very much more like a Minotaur would be like a bull top half and then like a horse bottom half. And that would resemble like a horse's hoof with like a little gap in between. That's what I usually picture like a Minotaur like hoof to kind of resemble, and then you have like the little scales there on the side, or the little chips on the side, depending on how old it is or how long it's survived or how beefy it is, like how much bones it has based on its age and whatnot, or based on its intellect. It could be very much on the same level of a Berengal Grimm, which means it would be highly intelligent and be very effective in combat. Especially enough to destroy an entire village. Granted, if that village had no formal training of combat, then they were fucked from the beginning. But I genuinely feel like it is a Minotaur Grimm, which would ring true for Ren to say not just any Grimm, and I don't think it would be just any run-of-the-mill Grimm. Like, it won't be, like, we've seen Beowulfs, we've seen Borbatusk, we've seen Berengals, we've seen, well, Berengal we've only seen one of. It's not like these lowly Grimm that have a lot of Grimm, like an abundance of, like, this seems like a very one-of-a-kind Grimm. Like, we've only seen one Grimm Dragon so far. We've only seen one Berengal Grimm. We've only seen one Creeper Grimm. Not Creeper Grimm, sorry. What is it? The Seer Grimm. We've only seen one of those. We've only seen one Sea Dragon Grimm. So these are very rare, hard to come by, and one of a kind. And if this Grimm has lived since the destruction of Ren's village, which I'm assuming Ren was a kid at the time, only imagine what that thing looks like now, or how strong or smart it is now. Very interesting to see if that is, in turn, what we end up seeing by the end of the volume. What is a Berengal? The Berengal is the name of the Gorilla Grimm that we saw in the trailer, in the Volume 4 character short. That's the name of it. Beringal. Beringal. We may know soon. And that is the episode in its entirety. It took us 2 hours and 30 minutes to get to, but we got it, guys. Now, I'll give you guys a choice. Alright? Actually, no, I'll warn you guys, but I'll also give you guys a choice. I have a screenshot right now. I already showed it on Twitter, but for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, there's 500 of you in here, so I'm assuming 500 of you haven't seen it on Twitter. But, I have a screenshot that I can show you guys that will... It's a preview of the next episode of what you guys can look forward to. For those of you who want to go in completely blind, I just prefer that you block your screen or don't look at the screen. Keep your audio on and I'll let you know. But for everybody else, if you guys want to see it, I will show you what the next episode... Tomorrow's episode for first members... for everyone on the Rooster Teeth site on Sunday. But if you don't want to see it, I'm going to let you know right now, block your screen right now, and just keep your audio up, and I will let you know vocally when you can look at the screen again. Alright? So, just keep that in mind. I will let you know when you can look at your screen again. But 3, 2, 1, boom. This is what we're getting in Chapter 10 of RWBY Volume 4. I'm not going to say anything in terms of spoilers for anyone who's just listening who doesn't want to see this. But this is what you guys will be getting tomorrow. First members will be getting it tomorrow. And, oh yeah, if you don't want to look at the screen, don't look at the chat either, because the chat just blew the fuck up. But yeah, this is what we're getting tomorrow. Much needed, I would say. Very much needed. You know, it's very interesting to see how we're getting so much current stuff. So it's really great to go back for a bit. Yeah, I guess it's a little... Well, I guess it depends. If depending on... Well, a lot of people's reaction here, you guys probably didn't know about this. So it's really great that you guys are able to check it out and see it. But this is why I'm so stressed now. You guys should have seen me earlier. I was fucking... Oh my god. I was like screaming at the top of my lungs when I fucking saw this clip. When I saw this screen. I was literally like inhumane when I first saw this. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god. But again, this is what reinforces my worries, because it's like, why are we getting so much of this right now? Is this alluding to something more dire happening in the next 2 episodes following this, you know? Or is this going to give us... Obviously, this is going to give us more insight to, first off, the location, B, the threat of this event. I'm trying to play around my words for anyone who doesn't want to who doesn't want to see it, and obviously development, much needed development for both the character and, you know, their friend. So I really hope that oh man, I just hope that nothing bad happens. You can't really wish for that after going so far into the volume and something not happen like that, you know what I mean? Like, Kuro's been like a big hit. Okay, if you're watching, if you're only listening in, I took the screenshot off so you can come back now. It was on the screen long enough for anyone who wanted to check it out. Oh! And I want to talk about one more thing, too. The World of Remnant that passed last week that just kind of got glazed over a bit when it talked about the World of Remnant on the Great War, which is something that was very interesting that a lot of people have been, myself included, have been wondering about. We've heard of it so much, and we just wanted to figure out, like, what the fuck was this all about? And I will say that amongst everything that was in this, one thing kind of struck, like, one thing really grabbed my attention. I don't know about you guys either, but so we figured out about, like, the origins of really, like, the structure of the kingdoms with these 4 leaders, and kind of how, like, the Great War started, what it was founded on, and what it was based about, and how the 2 warring factions came to each other's aid. You had Vale and Vacuo versus Mistral and Atlas, and pretty fucked up war at the end of it. Like, the aftermath was like probably like World War II status. World War II equivalent, I would say, to the World of Remnant. And it ended on the continent of Vital, which is what hosted the Vital Festival tournament, and kind of illustrated the beginning of peace between the nations, of just ending the war and whatnot. What we're going to talk about is this guy right here, the green dude, the king of Vale. The last king of Vale, mind you. They talked about how he essentially single-handedly ended the war. He had a sword, he had a scepter, and he just fucking eviscerated everyone and everything, and everyone just laid down their weapons, and they were like, yo, you are the fucking mans, we're gonna stop fighting because of you, we don't want any trouble, blah, 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 blah. Basically, these other 3 leaders were like, yo, we know when we're beat. I'm gonna show you guys a screenshot of what I posted on Facebook, I'm sorry, what I posted on Twitter last week about this World of Remnant, and the context clues of it. And here it is. This guy right here. So, I went back and watched RWBY Volume 1 after this World of Remnant came out, and Jean specifically mentions his sword's significance. He says his sword belonged to his great-great-grandfather, who used it to fight in the war. Now, I could understand, okay, well, that doesn't mean every single sword is significant, you know what I mean? Like, what, okay, well, like, why does that make Jean's, what does that, why does that make Jean so important? Why does that make Jean's weapon so important? And for me, it's like, everything in RWBY happens for a reason. Jean, as a character, comes off as so insignificant, like, especially at the beginning, which, it made me question, like, no, there has to be more to this character. There has to be. Monty didn't do anything. Monty's, like, the vision of a character in the show was never to just be like, let's just put this character here for no goddamn reason. Maybe Team Cardinal was the only exception to that. I'll give them that, you know what I mean? But, like, your great-grandfather fought, and Jean has also mentioned that his family, his family comes from a long line of warriors. Like, his father and his grandfather and his father before him were all warriors. That's what he said. They were all heroes. So they've all had this kind of combative experience. I just really feel like the World of Remnant mentions specifically, all right, it says the guy with his sword and scepter in hand. Like singling those 2 things out, his sword and his scepter. And then I just cross-referenced the fact, okay, Jean has a sword, and that sword is pretty old because he mentioned that sword was his great-great-grandfather's. So that's 3 generations off. So, and that's more than enough time for when the Great War started, and his great-grandfather fought it in the war. So what if this is his great-great-grandfather? That's the first thing I thought. And then I was like, we have so many speculations about Ozpin. We think that he's the wizard. We think that he has the consciousness of the wizard. We think that Ozpin has transcended all of these lifetimes, and he's just so fucking... He's just so mysterious as a character. Like, we can suspect him to be the god of the world, and it would probably pass because we know nothing about him. But he mentions the scepter as well, and a scepter can be kind of like a wand or a cane to some extent, and we know Ozpin uses a cane to fight as a weapon. So I'm wondering, I'm like, is Ozpin tied to this guy too? Is Ozpin related to Jean? Is Jean related to the last king of Vale? And are either one of these weapons a relic? Because this king just bodied everyone. He fought this war single-handedly and just won it all by himself. And I'm like, there's no fucking way that this dude did that. And it's just like, yeah, that's legit. And we know that the relics have a physical form. There's 4 of them. They each have a physical form. and they're safeguarded by the schools. And the schools were created after the Great War. So this would make sense for the king to have possession of one of the relics, use it in the war to end it, and then safeguard it away in one of the 4 schools. But what I will say that's confusing is that Ozpin mentions that he helped build one of the schools. He says that to Oscar in the episode when they're having like their internal dialogue. He says, and I quote, like he was like, Oscar was like, why did I do? Was like, how did I know that? Why did I say that? And Ozpin's like, because I helped build that school, and the tea set was a gift to the man running it now. It's like, how did you help build a school that was founded over 80 years ago? And you don't look old at all. And these schools were founded immediately after the Great War. Unless you transcend, unless the consciousness of the wizard was this king, who also transitioned to then possess Ozpin down the line, it has to be the consciousness, because Ozpin went through the same thing that Oscar's going through. So physically, the physical Ozpin that we know wasn't the same Ozpin or the mental Ozpin that helped build the school. Whoever's the consciousness of the person who built that school transcended down with Ozpin. It's super fucking confusing, I know. But yeah, that's those are my thoughts on all of that. And that is the live stream discussion. I want to thank all of you guys for sticking around for 2 hours and 45 minutes flat of my rambling, my discussing, my theorizing, my personal bits in between. But yeah, what did you guys think about it? Anything overall? Yeah, a lot of you guys can go to bed now. Good night. You guys have a good night. Hopefully you guys enjoy the episode tomorrow for those of you who are going to head out immediately. And for those of you who did miss the live stream discussion, this will be uploaded on my channel in a couple of hours, so you guys can kind of pick and choose where you guys want to talk about. It's only 2 hours and 45 minutes. I say only 2 hours and 45 minutes, but I know there are some of you guys out there who are crazy enough to sit through it if you guys did miss it, so I definitely appreciate you guys every week, especially since this was super late. Chapter 10 comes out tomorrow night, and I know a lot of you guys are going to be checking that out. We're going to be doing the live stream discussion on Sunday evening, 7 p.m. right here on my channel. So you guys can be raring to go, to talk about that and just get my thoughts and conversate amongst each other. But yeah, that's going to be awesome to just see chapter 10 based on the screenshot that I showed. Oh my god, I cannot. Like, I'm just so stressed. Like, I'm like, that episode is not going to end well. It's not going to end well based on the fact that we already know what happens. We know context of what happens. So the beginning bits will probably be like, oh my god, it's so awesome, it's so adorable, whatever. And then it just is going to progress into a fucking shitstorm. And maybe we'll get insight to how Ren and, the whole dynamic between Ren and Nora, if they were both from the same place, if they ended up finding each other over time, etc., etc. Yeah, send me your energy, dude. I freaking need it. So I can just create a massive spirit bomb and just throw it at Rooster Teeth if they end up killing off anyone by the end of the volume. Oh, man. Yeah, my stomach is like turning right now just thinking about tomorrow's episode. Yeah, chapter 10 last volume, everything just like hell in a handbasket, dude. Take my energy. Yeah. So we already know what tomorrow's episode's going to be. So essentially, after that, we have 2 episodes left. We have the penultimate episode, and then we have the finale. And it's like, what are they going to fucking do? What are they going to do to leave us off? Like, Volume 1, I don't think really had much hype in terms of leaving us off on a massive cliffhanger for something we can discuss in the off-season and talk about. Volume 2 was definitely Raven. A lot of people thought it was Yang's twin sister. A lot of people thought it was Yang's mom. A lot of people thought it was someone completely different. Volume 3 was definitely fucking Salem. Like, Salem, and is Pyrrha really dead? And there was just a lot of things that we could a lot of things that we just could, you know, expand on and talk about and discuss, especially in the off season. We can do fan art, we can theorize, we can analyze, we can speculate, do all this awesome stuff. But it's like, Volume 4, to me, is the equivalent of Volume 1. It's establishing the world, it's building it up more, it's giving kind of like everyone like their little, I don't know how to word it, but it's essentially giving everyone their little mini arc before we kind of fucking push the freaking doors wide open on everybody kind of getting development in the future. So I don't know how they're going to leave us off on a cliffhanger, or leave us off, or even the last 2 episodes. You can't really process what's going to come of this. Like, at least Volume 4, at least Volume 3, you knew shit was going to go down once the Vital Tournament came around, because that's something that's been talked about since the first episode, and Cinder and Emerald and Mercury's plans have been built up this entire time for this grand moment. So I was already under the impression that something, like, the school was going to get attacked to some extent, but, like, now it's like, where do we go from here? You know? Yeah, the Second Great War, which I already don't like the sound of that, because that immediately reminds me of the Fourth Great Ninja War, which is, we don't talk about it. Oh my god, like, I hope that they're not taking that route, but we might see another Great War, especially, which would fucking suck. Yeah, Winter Fall, thank you very much for that screenshot. I very much appreciated it. Absolutely. Yeah, hopefully no reanimation. Jesus. No, none of that. Even Harry Potter didn't have Even Harry Potter didn't have anything that you can bring someone back to life. I mean, the Resurrection Stone didn't bring them back to life. It just brought back, like, an essence of them. Or, like, maybe the mental thought of them coming back. But it wasn't, like, a legitimate, like, bring them back to life. You know? But yeah, that is everything, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around and, you know, wanting to be involved in the live stream discussions. I do apologize, like I mentioned, that this came out the night before the next episode. But better late than never, I always say. Thank you guys for sticking around, hearing me ramble, hearing my thoughts, and engaging with each other in the chat. I love the amount of detail that you put into these discussions. Honestly, I'm thankful for these discussions, because this is literally what's been going in my head. Like, this is the length and, like, the depth that I thought of RWBY since the series started. And it wasn't until Volume 3 that I actually had people to talk to about it. And Volume 4 actually made it even more direct with you guys being here live whenever it happens. So, I'm definitely thankful that you guys are willing to stick around and talk about it with me. Just because, if not for that, I'd be talking to nobody on a camera by myself. So I'm glad you guys enjoy it, and I'm glad you guys take away something from these streams, you know what I mean? Whether it's my personal insight, or whether it's my thoughts and theories and analyses of the episode, or just coming here to hear a familiar voice and you know, catch up with me throughout the week. But thank you guys very much for the support. Thank you guys for everything. For those of you who have been asking, I am planning and working on RTX 2017 for any of you guys who will be going, or any of you guys who are planning on meeting me. It's going to be a great experience. I did mention as well, if any of you guys weren't here, I have an hour-long RTX 2016 video that I will be uploading either Monday or Tuesday night. Probably Tuesday night, because tomorrow is going to be tomorrow is my reaction to Chapter 10 that I'm going to record, and then I'm doing my Patreon call, and then Sunday is going to be clipping screenshots for Chapter 10's live stream discussion, which will be up on Sunday. And then Monday I'll probably want to, like, take it easy a bit. So Tuesday will most likely be when that goes up. So I will have an hour-long... Actually, it's going to be over an hour long, but it's going to be at least an hour-long RTX video for everybody who helped me get there, and for you guys kind of experiencing RTX through me. So I hope you guys enjoyed that as well. But, yeah, tomorrow, RWBY Volume 4, Chapter 10 comes out for first members. 24 hours later, on Sunday, it'll be out for anybody on the Rooster Teeth website if you have a free or paid account. So you guys can all be a part of that and hang out. For those of you who are joining late, or if you joined late and you missed out, This live stream discussion will be uploaded to my channel at the end of probably in an hour or so. This stream is about 3 hours long now, so it'll be a while for it to process on the back end of YouTube. But ultimately, thank you guys for the support. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and I hope we can all make it through Chapter 10 tomorrow or whenever you guys watch it, and I will see you guys on Sunday. Thanks a lot, and have a good night.